Welcome to this special broadcast of the Coach's Corner Reunion Show from Jus1More Sports Bar Grill in Beaver Falls here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by D&G Rentals, Carver Construction, the Larry Brunel Foundation, Falcones Boone Township Ford, LGKG, Jus1More Sports Bar Grill, and Beaver County Radio. Now to introduce your host for this evening's show, Tom Hays and Bruce Frey.
And a pleasant good evening from the Jus1 Sports Bar and Grill in beautiful downtown Beaver Falls. I'm Tom Hays. With me, my partner for so many years, Bruce Frey. And we have several guests. Bear with us. We're going to go through the list and try to bring everybody up in groups. So this first group, first of all, the event coordinator, Amanda Yearish. Amanda is instrumental in promoting and setting this up. Amanda, it's good to see you, and to be involved with this, our good friend Bob Barrickman, who we lost in December, and we'll all get emotional tonight because part of this evening will be to honor Bob and remember him. He started this a few years ago, and you were heavily involved in it back then, so thanks for getting us old heads together again. We appreciate it.
We could not have done this without you. We weren't going to do it without you. And that is the God-honest truth. I cannot thank every single person that is here currently for showing up. Bob Barrickman was such an influential person in my life, within the sports community, within the county, everything in general. This is just so amazing to see all of the familiar faces, everybody that showed up, community-wise, sports community-wise. We just needed something positive and something amazing that we can just put that message forward. And that's why we wanted to do something, especially in the heart and soul of this county.
Well, when you have a big event like this, you got to find a pretty nice joint to have it at.
Absolutely.
Mariah Miller, our proprietor, the owner here of Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Mariah, thank you for having us and being a gracious host. I was in the facility earlier. It's just beautiful. It's really a gem for downtown Beaver Falls. We're going to talk to the mayor a little bit about that. But Mariah, tell us a little bit about what brought you to Beaver Falls and the Jus1 Sports Bar.
Actually, so it's a pretty quick story. So essentially, my husband had a conversation with a previous owner. He did some work for him. Owner said, I'm going to put the bar for sale. My husband said, I'm going to buy it. And that's when we started our research.
That was
it. That's one of the shorter stories out there.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's certainly good, and it's certainly an asset to the community here in Beaver Falls.
We're so happy to be here. We're so thankful to be putting on the event. We're certainly thankful for Amanda and all her wisdom and guidance, and also just being a native of the Beaver Falls community and helping us be so accepted. We're really grateful to be here. On top of that, the Beaver Falls community is just such a growing and responsive community. I can't tell you how happy we are to be here.
Well, you really have a beautiful place. It's well appointed inside, great decor.
Thank you.
I've heard nothing but good things about the food. I'm gonna find time to take a break and sample some of the food here tonight.
We'll bring you a plate
I'm not
over.
working for three straight hours without a break.
Let's also tell our listeners where we are. We're right on the main drag, 7th Avenue, Beaver
926
Falls.
7th Avenue, Beaver Falls.
Right. That we always want to point that out so people can check it out tonight.
Yes.
We're certainly we'll be here till 9, I believe. So
Okay,
there's
great.
certainly quite an opportunity to come down and shake hands.
Bruce, before we go further down
Yes.
the line, let's bring Eddie Yearich in, Amanda's father. We've known Ed for so many years, and Ed, the times that we have shared on and off the court have been special to me, and I hope they've been special to you, and I think they have been, buddy. Good to see you, as always. You got to be very proud of your daughter, Amanda. The epitome of beauty and brains, the complete package here.
And you know, I'm really proud of Mariah too, because Mariah employed my daughter, and I don't have to pay for her anymore. So, Mariah, thank you. And I must say, you know, we've done a lot of events in the past, and Bob Bergman's always been on our right-hand side. And not having Bob here is one of the reasons why we put this thing together. We want to do this in his memory. And how else do you do that? But you bring out all his old compadres, all the people that he touched and that touched him. And that's what makes this really a special night for all of us. His two sisters are here tonight. It's the first time I got a chance to meet them. And boy, they're much better looking than Bob was, I can tell you that. but it certainly is worth it. And then I have Jack Fullen and Joey Ursita, two of these guys that I've worked with my whole life in the athletic field. They've been help. Joe's been a little bit of a pain in once in a while, but we got over that real quick. And so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on here on the radio here, but I wanted to just thank you guys for doing this too.
Right.
You guys are legends. You really are.
Oh no,
and it's true.
Let's not undersell the amount of phone calls that you made to pull this whole thing off.
Well, let's hope it all works
to
out.
celebrate. I don't want you to get real emotional here, but I did bring some memorabilia for your trophy case. Here, look, it is an autographed Major League Baseball. LRLRL. Look at the signature. Thomas Hedison. That's for you to keep.
Now, you're not going to tell the story about Three Rivers,
No.
are you?
It's just for Three Stooges fans. They know who Thomas Edison
good.
is.
Thank you.
TH for short. And John's beaming approval. He understands the whole meaning.
Bruce,
I got to
John,
save the story. Amanda knows the story.
Eddie mentioned Bob's sisters, Mary Lou and Barbara. I text and call Barbara and Mary Lou enough because I just called Mary Lou the other day. I said, you know what, I miss your brother. So I had to talk to her a little bit. And anytime we've asked Mary Lou and Barbara to help out with a show to remember Bob or anything we needed, they've always been here. And they're like my adopted sisters now. Whether they like it or not,
100%
they're stuck
attendance.
with us, Bruce.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what
I
mean?
agree. They have us. They have us for sure. And they've been a model of dignity throughout. That's for sure. So we're glad they're here. That's the main thing. They're here, and feel free to go up and introduce yourself. That's what I would tell our guests.
Yeah, we're going to spend a lot of the night talking stories. And Amanda, one story about your old man I got to tell you.
Oh, here we go.
My son was younger at the time. My young son, Brad, he might have been 10 years old. We made a trip to Hershey. The old man made the trip with me, okay? Ed came with us, and I got a speeding ticket going into Hershey like a mile from the hotel. So I got pulled over by the Hershey police, and Ed tried to talk the officer out of giving me the ticket. And my son was like, gee, Dad, he's going to make it worse. We're going to go to jail. I said, Ed, I was speeding. I deserved the ticket. So even though you tried, Ed, you didn't get me out of that speeding ticket.
He has the gift of gab.
But you know the
Don't
thing.
admit that.
Here's the type of guy Bob Berrigan it was. I got the speeding ticket, and because I drove to Hershey,
He paid for it.
Bob paid half of the ticket.
I believe that.
He said, Tom, I'm going to pay half of it. I said, why? You weren't driving. I was the dummy that was speeding. He goes, you wouldn't have been speeding if I would have drove. He said, I'm paying half of that ticket. So Bob paid half of my speeding ticket. I thought your dad was going to buy me dinner, but
Absolutely
he never
not.
did.
Only if there was wings involved.
It's all good, but thanks again again. It's also nice to see so many referees mingle with so many coaches too. I think that shows the human
part.
aspect that maybe not all of our callers appreciate.
You realize Rich Alsbury mingled and wrote down with Mark Jula. How about that one?
That's amazing.
Let's bring in the mayor of Beaver Falls, Kenya Johns. Kenya, as the mayor, you have to be excited when you see an establishment like Jus1 Sports Bar and Grill pop up in downtown Beaver Falls. How does that make you feel to see a beautiful place like this opening up?
It's honestly quite fantastic. We're very excited to have Mariah, our husband, here, and the whole staff and community. They have been such an asset. We were just talking before we came on how we just really appreciate them investing themselves in the community, creating a space for all people, right? Inviting people into our community that normally wouldn't be here and just showing them the great things that we have going on here. And we're very thankful to have them. Amanda, everyone's been so great. So you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, it really looks good. You know, a nice sunny evening like this, plenty of parking, plenty of place to spread out, and it certainly casts the downtown area in a positive light.
Yeah, and that's the goal. You know, we've been working on really transforming a lot of our downtown community, and we don't do it and we don't want to do it if our business partners on here, our community members are represented. So it really is a team effort, and we're really excited to have them be a part of that team to help make it a better place.
And another proud member of your community, Vanessa Ford. Vanessa's with us tonight. Vanessa does a lot of work with domestic violence, and in this day and age, I got to think COVID has intensified the problems that we have in that area, and I would imagine your work's very, very important. So thank you for your dedication to the community, and tell us a little bit about what your job entails and what you run into.
I'm also city councilwoman of Beaver Falls as well. Wear a lot of different hats, that being one, but I've been I'm a survivor of domestic violence, been a survivor for over 30-some years. Originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. My incident that happened there is what drew me to come to Beaver Falls. Coming out of a bad situation turned into great things, I would like to say. I started a foundation. My foundation is called the Ford Foundation. That foundation is geared to women's and men's and children of domestic violence. At Christmas time, we love on families. We give back to families that's lived in domestic violence. And Jus1More is going to be sponsoring us this year doing a wing bash, October the 7th. That is October Domestic Violence Month. But we like to do that with the foundation. I have given out scholarships in my maiden name, Vanessa Ford. I also have a ministry. My ministry is called From Behind the Mask Ministry. That ministry is where I go out and I share my story of being a survivor. I've been telling my story for over 20 years of being a victim, but now being a victorious woman, and that women can overcome a bad situation. I'm also an author of a book. My book is Behind the Mask, A Survivor's Story. I have self-published it since 2012, but it will be out on the market possibly next year. You can find it on Amazon. There's many different stores. It's through Christian Publishing Bookstore. Domestic violence is my passion. It's my joy. I live it and breathe it because it happens so often. And it happens to the young, the old, the black and the white. Doctors, lawyers, it don't make a difference. Yeah. But I like to take a stand for it, to let women know you don't have to stay in it. You need to get out of it, and you can overcome it.
And for the record, for Amazon to look that up when that would come out, would it be under Vanessa Ford Taylor then, or would it be Vanessa Ford?
Vanessa Ford Taylor.
Okay, great.
I used Ford because I was Vanessa Ford when everything happened to me, but I recently married, and I'm Vanessa Taylor.
Well, we always talk about sports heroes. Here's a hero to the community, Vanessa Ford. Let's give her a round of applause for her fine work. Thanks for being here, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Now, the guy to your immediate right, Mr. Joe Ursita, one of our favorite guys that we've covered, Bruce, down through the years on the radio, the former athletic director, football coach at New Brighton. He coached some softball. I know you did a lot of other things, but I'm too old to remember everything you did, Joe. But anyways, buddy, it's good to see you, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Well, I would like to thank Eddie Ayers for putting me on the committee. And what people don't realize on this, when you look around, this is the history, 50 years history of coaches, athletic directors, and referees. And what a night to have this, and to think of all the people who have influenced young men and young women down through the years. And it's an honor for me to be on this committee, and it's even a greater honor just to be here to associate with these people. And I've always said many times, I lived in the greatest times in Beaver Falls history and Beaver County history, and people have asked me if you could go back and change things. I said no, I would never change anything, because this was a great place to grow up. And I want to thank Eddie again for the
Bruce, talk a little bit about your new fall journey with Mr. Ursita.
Yeah, I guess we're allowed to spill the beans now. It's public knowledge is that Right, Frank, it's okay to spill the beans about his employment in the fall. Joe Yercita will be the color commentator for Geneva football on Beaver County Radio. Very good. We look forward to that edition.
I feel honored for doing that, but I may only last one game after Gino DeMarco. Here's what I would have to say.
All you can do is try. You'll report the game, and I'm sure you'll be good for it. We're glad to have you. That's for sure.
Joe, the highlight of your athletic career, though, had to be the time that Bruce Frey and I came to New Brighton to broadcast the New Brighton basketball game, and the tape recorder wouldn't play the national anthem. You had a malfunction, so lo and behold, Mr. Frey, my partner, grabbed the mic and sang a rousing rendition of the national anthem. That had to go down to one of my top 5 highlights.
That has to be his opinion of what? About when he just picked it up and all of a sudden he starts singing.
No doubt. It was a good night, and thanks for the opportunity. I'd like to.
Well, we didn't have a choice.
That's for sure. I thought one of Joe's career highlights, though, is how about the way he led off his career with an onside kick against Rachi. Not everybody. Right. He and Bill Cowher, the only 2 people I ever know did that. They both led off their coaching careirs with onside kicks.
There was a story about that, and I'll tell it real quick. We practiced it all week to onside kick. Then when we got to the game, my specialty team coach, Donnie Bittner, said, "Are we going to onside kick?" And I said, "No, I have no guts." Then all of a sudden, I sprint down to the sidelines and I yell in his face, "I do have guts, let's do it." And we did.
And it worked.
It worked.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So
we want to thank
of a
our
good career.
first group, Bruce, of coming in. We're going to let them go. We're going to take a commercial break. You're viewing and listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show live at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in beautiful downtown Beaver Falls, right on 7th Avenue. We'll be back on Beaver County Radio after this time.
Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in Beaver Falls. Make this the year you make all your remodeling dreams come true and call Carver Construction in New Brighton today. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. They've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. Let Carver Construction help with your remodeling plans right now. Call 724-847-1572 or visit their website, carverconstructionpa.com. Mitch Carver and everyone at Carver Construction is happy to help sponsor the Coach's Corner Reunion Show Wednesday, July 12th on Beaver County Radio.
After any big game, people will be talking. This is Ellen Bross from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. The same is true when you get your new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers will notice the new winning style reflected in the car, truck, or SUV you just got from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Located on University Boulevard, across from Robert Morris. Click and save at moonford.com and discover what the talk is all about. Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
The Larry Bruno Foundation 12th Annual Circle of Achievement Banquet will be held on Saturday, July 29th at Shadow Lakes Country Club. There will be 9 inductees this year. Included is the Livingston Scholarship, presented to a CCBC student in law enforcement, and the Tronzo Family Scholarship for a dedicated person who helps others in our communities. The Larry Bruno Foundation consists of members in local sports, artists, music, and business communities. The Circle of Achievement Banquet is July 29th. Call 412-298-1430 to purchase tickets.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Arbit, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Arbit, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale Hobble. the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Did you know that if you have the ability to listen to the radio, you have the ability to dig a ditch? It's true. By renting the right equipment from D&G Rentals in Beaver Falls, you can turn big projects into simple ones. So if you can master your cell phone, you can probably build a new patio or pour a new sidewalk. You already have the know-how, you just don't have the right tools. And that's where D&G Rentals comes in. Visit dgrent.com. So remember, if you can change the channel, you can probably change a transmission with a little help from D&G Rentals.
You're listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by the Larry Brunel Foundation, Carver Construction, D&G Rentals, Falcones Moon Township 4, Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, and the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Now let's return to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill for more action from tonight's show.
Yeah, and welcome back to Beaver County Radio and our Coach's Corner Reunion Show. I'm Tom Hays, along with my co-host, Bruce Frey. Bruce, good to be back with you again, buddy.
It is. It's great to be reunited, no question
I really
of that.
treasure these opportunities for you and I to work together since I'm retired. You're still employed, but
yes.
It's good to get together now and then to do stuff like this.
Yeah, particularly when we're concerned with speaking with so many people we have such a history with. That makes it all the easier. We'll move right along.
Well, let's bring in the longtime sports writer, Bill Allman. Bill, you've seen a lot down through the years, and you have spent so much time in the press box with guys like Bob Barrickman and Bruce and I, and yeah, we're old timers, but still, it's good to see so many familiar faces. Because sports has changed, recently. Things are different than the way it used to be, but it's good to recollect.
Hasn't changed as much in Beaver County, because we still, I don't know how to use a mic.
Put the mic closer. That's all.
But so many coaches that have stuck around for so long. I actually, a couple of guys here that were coaching when I was playing years ago, and now I'm 35 years in this business. First game I ever covered was Tim O'Malley at Hopewell against Greg Gattuso at Moon. Tim went on to be the executive director of the WPIL. Greg went on to be the head coach at Albany, and I'm still here. I don't know what that says, but
that means you've been consistent. You've done well.
Yeah, there's so many great coaches out there, and sport hasn't suffered. No sport suffered around here.
Well, again, we're very fortunate to have had you in this area. You've seen quite a few athletes and coaches and officials now that we have here come and go. So it's certainly good to be here and be reintroduced. Now, tell us about what your fall gig is at Geneva this season.
Oh, I'm going to be the PA guy at Geneva this year.
There you go.
Can't talk about 3 yards in a cloud of dust because they got artificial turf. But I still think Gino's going to go ahead and 3 yards at a time. So we'll find a new way to describe that. But, yeah, I was at Geneva as a sports information director. Then I covered them, and now I got kicked upstairs to be the PA guy. I never had to worry about how to pronounce names. I only had to spell them before.
You've come full circle, but continued luck on your writing career. You remain active. All the way to Riverside's run to the state championship. You've been there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's amazing. No matter how long you've been there, Coach Oleastro has been at Riverside longer.
Yeah, he has been. He's the only guy that's been here longer than I've been covering. So
it's very good, but certainly good luck with your new career as a PA man in the fall.
And Bruce, we have a long-time basketball coach from Riverside High School. Bob Rack started way back in 1970, was there for about 15 or 16 years. Bob, you think back about how basketball has changed and the way things are now. What do you see the main difference between coaching back when you did in the 70s and now?
Well, back then you could basically say almost anything to the kids and they would react in a positive way. Today you got to be very careful. The parent involvement is so much more today than ever before. But other than that, I think the kids today have to play a little bit more. There's so many sports out there. There wasn't so much as like soccer today is very big. Hockey is very big for young kids to go to camps all summer. But I'd just like to thank Eddie Yearts and his committee for putting this gathering on today. I'd like to thank John Miller. He got me started. He hired a young guy out of Geneva College in 1970 as his assistant. He taught me a lot. Most of what I know today in running the basketball program from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. I'd like to also thank Eddie and Tony Court for not teeing me up when they probably should have over the years. But other than that, I'm still coaching at the Cranberry YMCA, their elementary basketball program, and running their camps. I sub at Riverside yet after every day this year I sub. So again, I'd like to just thank everybody for putting this together, and especially Eddie and Coach Miller. He got me started. Again, I'd never be where I ended up without his support, not his help. Thank you.
Just like Coach Miller, you wind up doing camps at an advanced age. It's great.
He taught me how to do every camp and how to organize every practice. And when I run that camp at the Cranberry Y for the kids, it's every 10 minutes we do something different all the way to the end. We run a 2-hour camp 3 times this summer. So, yeah, he was a great influence in my coaching life, no doubt about it. Oh, I forgot to thank my wife because after 51 years, she deserves a Wife of the Year award, really.
Yeah, amen to that. Folks, I was told the food is ready, so if you have your wristband, head on back to the buffet, get yourself something to eat, and you can still hear us talking. We got big mouths, so go ahead and eat, enjoy yourself, and we'll continue on. Bruce, this next guy, I think when you look up the definition of a high school basketball coach, they got a picture of Jules in the dictionary. Mark Jewell. Mark, you've done it so long and so well in so many places. And let me just say, Mark, that it's an honor for me to be able to call you a close friend. You and I have gotten close, I like to think, in the last several years. And the admiration I have for you and all you've done for high school athletics goes without saying, Mark. Coach, good to see you again. And what are you doing with your free time now?
Well, I'm just...
I think I know the answer, but tell the folks listening.
Well, I'm trying to relax, so I took a new job at El Fumador Cigars in Swickley, so I'm a tobacconist. I sell cigars down in...
Well, let me ask you, who's your favorite cigar buying customer in Swickley?
Without question, that would be Mario Lemieux.
There you go.
And we got a few guys that come in there, and Swickley people like to spend some money. So
Mario knows what it's like to go hook up with a legend. That's all.
That's
he can relate to that. But Mark, let's not discount your career as a guard at Ambridge. Also, and I think Beaver Falls was part of your past too as a player. That's something to shed light on.
You're going way back now.
Oh, why not? That's what this show's all about.
Well, I mean, it's Gary Gooseby, Al Hamil, Oscar Jackson. I mean, we played in the finals in '70. That was my junior year.
Yes.
And Beaver Falls beat us by 3.
At the arena.
A couple shaky calls, but we won't go there.
Oh, no.
But
you got a ref sitting next to you. We'll get to him in a minute.
He didn't do the game. It was every game was sold out. We beat Uniontown the first round. Arnie Bell, Jesse Hudson, they were undefeated. Played Uniontown with Jonathan Marshall.
Clareton.
Jonathan Marshall beat them. Then we played Beaver Falls in the finals in front of, I think it was 12,000, television, the whole deal. Great game. They went on to win the state title. So then my senior year, we didn't have much size, but all state claim, I was the point guard after Dick DeVenzio. So I tried to be like Dick. And then the guy that followed me was went to LSU. Doug Saylor.
Yes.
So their
right.
point guards went.
He played in the round ball also.
Davencio, Jula, Saylor. So those were pretty good years not to press Ambridge.
Mark, of all the things you've accomplished in basketball as a head coach, very impressive. I forgot. I lost count of how many wins you have. I know you know. It's up there. It's quite a bit. Go ahead, tell me. How many wins did you have?
561.
561. Okay. One stat that I think is more impressive is the father that you are. You tragically lost your son, Brett, several years ago, and I just want to let you know that, Brett's not forgotten, a great player at Center High School, who you coached at Center. You had the opportunity to coach Brett and Chris, for that matter, your other son, but ever since Brett tragically lost his life, you've never, and Susan, your wife, your beautiful wife Susan, have done a remarkable job at keeping Brett's memory alive and honoring his memory. And I want you to know that I look at you as a hero for the way you've handled that. Not many folks could go through a tragedy like that and be able to carry themselves as well as you have, my friend. And you're to be complimented and commended for that. And, sometimes if I have a problem, I think about what you and Susan went through, and somehow things don't seem to matter. So publicly, I really would just like to acknowledge that you're a real hero in my eyes, just by being the man that you are and the way that you honor Brett.
Thank you, Tom. And we took out a scholarship in his name at Florida State. I built him a court in Baden, lights, the whole bit. He worked for Samuel Adams. Samuel Adams did a lot of unbelievable things in his honor, still do today. So it's been 7 years, and I think I'm in a good place, and I try to emulate Brett and treat people the way he would treat them. And he was just a gentleman and a lovely guy. So I'm living my life through him. I'm trying to be like him, and it's never easy, but it's gotten easier. And that thing that Joe Biden said when his son passed away, when he was running for election, he said, someday it won't bring a tear to your eye, bring a smile to your face. I'm pretty close to being.
Well, I'm sure Brett's very proud of you. As a matter of fact, I know you. Coach, good to see you. Ironically, you've had a history of getting excited during a basketball game, and a guy that has to control the action on the floor, our good friend, Tony Court, one of the best officials in Western Pennsylvania, if not the entire state. As a matter of fact, T, when you did your first state final in basketball, you stayed with us in Hershey. And what a fun weekend that was, my friend, thinking back about the times that we spent with Bob Barrickman together in Hershey, and we were there for the first time you called a state final. Great memories, buddy. Good to see you. Also, the terrific mayor of Elwood City. Thanks for coming on board.
First off, let me say, Tom, it's great to be here amongst you guys. WBVP has been great for high school athletics down through the years. I'm honored to be here. So many wonderful friends, so many wonderful people, and so many wonderful memories. Like you said, the state tournaments and things like that. Having the privilege to referee games against Mark Jula, Coach Rack, Johnny Miller, those are all great memories. The games went well. Like I said, it's just great to be here, and it's an honor for me. And again, thank you, WBVP, Eddie Earage, Jack Fullen, so many people that you've seen throughout the years, but somehow you drift apart as the years go by,
Yeah. Tony,
missing Bob Barrickman, another great guy. Just tremendous people, and that's what this is all about for me.
Tony, real quickly, what was it like when you first got the call that you were invited to Hershey? How did you handle that?
Well, I was excited in a way and also scared. I was a young guy. I'm thinking about refereeing maybe in front of 10,000 people, the biggest game of the year, and hoping things go well, hoping you don't make a fool out of yourself, because you could do that. You could fall, you could do stupid things. But I believe refereeing in Western Pennsylvania against some of these great teams like Mark and Blackhawk and us had really prepared me for a state final. And the game was actually way easier than a lot of regular season games I've done here in Beaver County. That was the most important thing. And then as you get older, you get more experience, and the games are secondhand. You know, it's all the wonderful memories that I've made along the way.
Tone, thanks for being here. We got two more guests behind me.
Thank you.
Hopefully the camera can pick up Pat Amabile and Lori Paul. Pat and Lori, you guys do a lot of work with substance use disorder, mental health issues, and thanks for being here tonight. We realize the impact that mental well-being has on really our high school athletes now. It's been a big change, I would think, Pat, since the onset of COVID a few years ago. I would think mentally that substance abuse had to go up a little bit and mental problems increase during what happened during COVID. Did you see that as well? And tell us a little bit about your work.
Thank you, first of all, for having me on, and thanks to Eddie Yerge for having us here. But the main thing, and there's never a good time to talk about substance abuse or preventative abuse disorder, especially when it comes to alcohol these days and drug use. There's such an impression. These kids are so impressionable now that we always have to worry about, things that are happening. COVID just amplified that, 10 times.
Right.
Okay. And our organization, led by Angelo Papa, an attorney out of Newcastle, has developed a program called ELM, Education, Law, and Medicine. And what we've done is we've been able to get the professionals from each of those organizations focused on the high school level. And we put on these programs to try to make sure that these kids understand the consequences, not when something happens, but before. And Lori Paul here, she's our director of substance abuse and mental disorders, and she's been experienced for many years. She's been a big part of what we do, and I'll let her speak a little bit about our program.
Thanks, Pat. Lori, welcome aboard. Your work's so important, and I often wonder, how do you get young adults, not even adults, but just teenage kids, high school students, let's say, how do you get them to admit that they have a problem, that they do need help? To me, that would seem like, I have 3 kids of my own. I raised 3 kids, and thank God they're all healthy and fine. But there were times when you're raising kids that you didn't communicate as well as you would like to. So is that a hard task sometimes for a young person to admit they have a problem?
It is, and thank you so much for having us here today. This is a very important topic that we've been working tirelessly to have this communication. That's why ELM is here. We're trying to get our children to understand that they can reach out to someone in the school system, their families, wherever, and have that discussion, because what we're finding is how it's being communicated to us is overdose, the deaths. They're being arrested and going into detention and jails, and we don't want that for them. And the most important thing you have to understand with substance use disorder is that's a coping mechanism. Our children are suffering with depression, anxiety. Many of them feel suicidal, so we're not really helping them the way we can, and we're learning together as we experience this. There's no finger pointing here. That's why ELM exists, is to teach those that are involved in their lives, their teachers, their coaches, the nurses in the school, the community leaders, the community and themselves and family and friends, that you see something truly, it doesn't sit well with you, speak up, because that's between life and death. Many times our children don't know how to communicate, because many times they're using their phones, they're using emojis to communicate, so they don't know how. I think they want to tell us, but they just don't know how.
I was just going to ask you, has your undertaking and your mission become more difficult in this social media era when people just don't speak like we're speaking now, they text?
Social media is great, and it also has, those hurdles as well. But it's great for us and our platform, because we're able to reach people that are struggling in silence, and also people like here today that maybe didn't realize that they could be a part of the solution. You don't have to be a counselor, a therapist, or a doctor to help. You can participate, volunteer, but you can speak up when you notice something is off.
And you know, I'm on the school board at Newcastle, so you know, we got together, and the Newcastle Area School District was the first district in Lawrence County to sponsor this program. We do it every October, and we bring the kids to the Scottish Rite Cathedral, and we put on a debated program to make them be aware. It's not a scared straight thing, but it's an educational thing, and that's the most important thing that we do.
Yeah, and I think it's important to let kids know how important they are. I mean, we're in the business of promoting high school sports, and that's all well and good, but the kids who don't, I never played sports in high school. I was a musician. So, you know, and I sometimes in high school felt like an outsider because I didn't play football or basketball or baseball or whatever. So I think all kids have to feel important, no matter what their role is in their school district. And a guy like you, Pat, being on the school board, can only be advantageous for a high school student to know that, you know, a guy like you's on the school board and can understand they have these issues. So,
well, you know, one thing, not to interrupt, but the school board thing is just, that's my vehicle, my mouthpiece.
Yeah, right.
And you know, people use their position sometimes in a bad way. I feel like the way that I'm using it is to really speak out. We also, speaking of sports, we do the Newcastle Hurricanes media page. Mm-hmm. So we do all the Newcastle games. So people know me from doing that as well. And that's all good if it gets the message out.
Right.
One of the things I really wanted to impress upon you, too, is a couple of things. Many of our youngsters are struggling because in their homes, their families are struggling, too. So it is a normal thing to see this, and they think that, wow, this is how we live. So there's nobody at home that can see it, and our teachers are very taxed with trying to care for them and be, you know, counselors and social workers, which they've not been trained to do, and trying to teach classes. Also, another message I'd like to share with you is I've done some work with athletes, and one of the things you can talk to the coaches about is your athletes are afraid to speak up. They have, you're supposed to be strong, and they have scholarships, and they were the stars of high school football or basketball or swimming or whatever it may be. They go on to college, and they don't want to let anybody down, so they suffer. So if you're seeing something, we have to make it safe for them to speak up. We have to make it safe for them to say, I don't know if I can do this sport right now, because I'm just mentally not able to move.
Well, continued success, and thanks for what you do. Thank you for coming down and spending some time with us. We really appreciate it, and what you do is important, and keep at it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to take another timeout here at the Coach's Corner Reunion Show. We'll be back after this timeout on Beaver County Radio, live on Facebook.
Make this the year you make all your remodeling dreams come true and call Carver Construction in New Brighton today. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. They've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. Let Carver Construction help with your remodeling plans right now. Call 724-847-1572 or visit their website, carverconstructionpa.com. Mitch Carver and everyone at Carver Construction is happy to help sponsor the Coach's Corner Reunion Show Wednesday, July 12th on Beaver County Radio. Jus1More Sports Bar Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar Grill in Beaver Falls.
After any big game, people will be talking. This is Ellen Bross from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. The same is true when you get your new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers will notice the new winning style reflected in the car, truck, or SUV you just got from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Located on University Boulevard, across from Robert Morris. Click and save at moonford.com and discover what the talk is all about. Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
The Larry Bruno Foundation 12th Annual Circle of Achievement Banquet will be held on Saturday, July 29th at Shadow Lakes Country Club. There will be 9 inductees this year. Included is the Livingston Scholarship, presented to a CCBC student in law enforcement, and the Tronzo Family Scholarship for a dedicated person who helps others in our communities. The Larry Bruno Foundation consists of members in local sports, artists, music, and business communities. The Circle of Achievement Banquet is July 29th. Call 412-298-1430 to purchase tickets.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Did you know that if you have the ability to listen to the radio, you have the ability to dig a ditch? It's true. By renting the right equipment from D&G Rentals in Beaver Falls, you can turn big projects into simple ones. So if you can master your cell phone, you can probably build a new patio or pour a new sidewalk. You already have the know-how, you just don't have the right tools. And that's where D&G Rentals comes in. Visit dgrent.com. So remember, if you can change the channel, you can probably change a transmission with a little help from D&G Rentals.
Beaver County Radio is your source for local news in Beaver County and surrounding areas. Tune in weekdays starting at 6:30 a.m. for news reports at the top and bottom of each hour with Curtis Walsh. Eddie Crow has afternoon news at the bottom of each hour, and news correspondents Sandy Giordano and Matt Durzik have reports from local school board and municipal meetings. You can also follow Beaver County Radio on our website at beavercountyradio.com and our Facebook page for breaking news as it happens. With all that coverage, you don't need to go anywhere else but Beaver County Radio News and beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by the Larry Bruno Foundation, Carver Construction, D&G Rentals, Falcones Moon Township 4, Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, and the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Now let's return to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill for more action from tonight's show.
And we're back to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on 7th Avenue, downtown Beaver Falls. As the folks are enjoying the great food and the buffet and drinks here. Got the beautiful facility set up. Our event coordinator, Amanda Yerish, just a fantastic job setting everything up. I don't think her old man could do something like this. I don't know, but you know, he had a hand in it.
Bet all you got on me.
Credit.
That's what I would say. I'm going to win this race.
Well, Bruce, we're into our third group now?
I guess it's the third. It's the bottom of the third inning, but we're pleased.
Speaking of Yeriches, let's keep it in the family.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Eddie's brother John is here. John, Mike John, that's good. John's a longtime official. We have a lot of referees, and it's funny, John, how now you spent some time in the media too, so you might be the exception, but the media, at least in Beaver County, we like to think, has had a good relationship with the officials. Talk a little bit about that. We've known each other for so many years, and we've had a ball working together.
No question, Tommy. Between you and God rest his soul, Bob, my buddy Bruce here to my left, you guys have called hundreds of games that I've worked, whether it be in football or basketball. And, we've always had a real good relationship. We've talked beforehand. Sometimes we've
met up for a libation afterwards and a sandwich and had a few laughs. But, over the years, it's been a great relationship. And like you said, I was on the air up in Newcastle for a number of years. And we've had each of you guys on our show as guests over the years. So,
and you lost a dear friend in the business. Mark
Yes.
Shaw is about, 6 years has it been since Shawsy left us?
Yeah, the end of June.
Another guy who lived and died high school sports like Bob did.
No doubt. And, Mark was not only a dear friend, but he was pretty darn good broadcaster and lived and died high school sports just like Bob did and like you guys do. You guys have done for so many years. So, definitely a great loss there.
John, we're glad to have you here tonight. The other thing, we've even had officials call the Falcones Moon Township Ford wrap-up show after games, too, if you can imagine anything that preposterous. But real quickly, how did you get, the key we always ask officials is, how did you get into that racket in the first place?
You guys talked to my brother earlier. He was an official for a number of years and a few years older than me, so I kind of grew up in appreciating it and got involved at a young age. I was 18 when I got involved, actually even earlier, working some CYO things before, I was even able to get a PIAA certification. So I kind of grew up in the business and been with it ever since.
Great. We're glad you did, and certainly the community's better off for it.
John, first of all, congratulations. I understand that when you step on a football field this fall, this will be year number 40 for you blowing the whistle.
Number 40, a long time.
You only look like you're 35 years old. What are you talking about?
Well, I appreciate the the compliment, but, we've been doing it a long time. I got a couple buddies sitting with me who were mentors of mine coming up through.
Now they're evaluators, so you really got to behave.
And now they're evaluators, so I got to kind of stay on their good side, too. So, it keeps you young mentally. You get out there with the youth of the community, and you can stay involved in the sports that you love.
Congratulations. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
And great to see you, my friend.
My pleasure, as always.
Let's turn it over to now Tim O'Malley, the former executive director of the WPIAL.
Tommy, softball's where I'm leaving. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know how did Ed have the budget to pay you to come down here? I mean, a guy of your stature, I'm sure, demanded a lot of money to come down here.
Stature. That's misused. What's
Tim,
going on?
Well, we're flattered to have you because you've kept a fairly low profile since your retirement. Sort of a Heath Miller quiet retirement.
Oh, I'm out. Gone.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Tim, your job, I don't want to say thankless, but boy, it was tough. I mean, you just seemed like no matter what decision you made, someone was unhappy. I thought under your stewardship that the WPIL was on an even course, and I thought that I still think it's the best scholastic conference in the entire state of Pennsylvania. And guys like you and Ace Heberling before you guys are the ones that really kept it afloat and deserve a lot of credit for all the nonsense that you had to put up with. But just know that it has been appreciated by certainly us guys in the media. Anytime we've covered an event, you and your staff have been more than cordial, but it had to be a tough job, wasn't it, at times?
Well, Tommy, that's why God made beer. So no matter how bad the day went, you could always go home and have a beer, and
That's
tomorrow
true.
you just do it again.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard.
Tim, when you walked in the morning, what was the average amount of emails on your computer?
You know, I just came into those emails. Back in the day, we had pencil and paper. That was much easier then, but emails were a little bit tough. But, Tommy, to back up to what you said, Ace Heberling built the league. Ace had a vision as to what Western Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletics was all about, and he had a passion, and he built it. And Ace had the personality that would irk some at times and upset a lot of people at times, but it was all with the intent that he wanted what was, in his estimation, the best for interscholastic athletics. Ace carried that torch, or Larry carried that torch for about 10 years, and my goal, my only goal, was to make sure I didn't screw up what those two guys had built. And so I efforted every day to make sure I didn't make it any worse than it was, and it was my hope that when I left, it was not any worse than it was when I inherited it. So, you know, I enjoy what I'm doing now, nothing. and I don't get yelled at nearly as bad, and so it's good.
What's your take on the rights for WPIL championships being shifted from TRIB to NFHS?
I have no comment.
Okay, well, we figure that's fine.
See, boy, you are dodging the hardball questions,
He
aren't
wanted
you?
softball questions, and I fed him right over the plate.
Tim, seriously, class organizations, WPIL, and we like to think Bob Barrick was a class individual, the way he represented our radio station and Beaver County sports. And I know Bob would call you with a lot of crazy questions, about sites and things, and but you're always there to lend a helping hand to Bob, and I know he appreciated it. We've talked about it. And we lost to lose a guy like that. Nights like this, I think, as we get older, just going to become more and more special because we're all not going to be here forever, and unfortunately, we learned that lesson in December.
So very sad because he was such a good person, and what it is that you folks do here in Beaver County pretty much epitomizes what it is that these people in Beaver County do. I was so very fortunate back in my day where I wasn't a very good football coach, but to be accepted into the coaching fraternity down here in the county. And I had great friends in Carl and Larry and Joe and Pat and all those people back in the day. But what went on in Beaver County was special. And I can speak specifically to the Football Coaches Association. Those guys were friends 364 days a year.
Yep.
They competed one day. And the other 364 they would get together. And I think that BVP and Bobby, you guys celebrated that each night that there was a competition between the Beaver County schools. It's a special place, and it's a special organization, and it's a special station. And I applaud your efforts for what it is you do and hope that you continue to do it for a long period of time.
Tim, thanks for coming down.
We
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate it. Thank
Thanks.
you very much. Yes.
Now we'll turn over to our evaluators. Go ahead, Bruce. You got the names in front of you.
Yeah, I think this is John. John.
Yeah, John McCune.
Very
John
good to
McCune.
have you. Can you explain your function on? It's on the high school scene. You're an evaluator.
Well, let me explain to you first of
Sure.
all. I refereed high school and college basketball years ago. So the late Bill Christie asked me to become an evaluator for him. So I did, and everything went well. So as time went on, now I evaluate at Division 1, 2, and 3, and I do their tournaments, okay? Evaluate their officials, and sometimes you bring your A game, sometimes you bring your C game, and you don't move on. But through the course of officiating and evaluating, you meet so many people, professional people, and many, many years ago, Tim O'Malley, I walked in the WPIL office. I didn't know Tim I didn't know what he did. I knew he was the executive director and everything. And he said, you're going to take over the high school playoffs evaluation system. I said, okay. And I did that for like 16, 17 years. And I told Tim, I said, that you may not like what you're going to hear from me, but it's going to be the honest opinion. But with the evaluation process, I was blessed with people who were retired officials who knew the game, especially my good friend Eddie Urich. Okay, he was.
Eddie has a friend?
Yeah, Eddie has a friend.
Good.
But as time goes on, you never forget where you come from. And Eddie, Gene Sterator, and I, we're trying something different with all officials in basketball. I don't care where you're from, to educate, train, and retain. Because we all know officials in all sports in Pennsylvania, and it's just not Pennsylvania, it's across the country, there's a shortage, okay? And I can relate to that because of my youngest daughter lives in Florida. She was coaching junior high a couple years ago, and two guys come out on the floor, they were 80, 82 years old, okay? So we go stay around for the varsity game, same guys officiating because they can't get anybody. But someone asked me, they said, what do you miss about officiating? Officiating, you meet tremendous people, professional people. But as an evaluator, you go along and you still meet these people. And that's what I'm here for, to help the officials, in whatever sport, okay? But specifically in basketball. And Eddie and Gene has spearheaded this, and we're trying to do this, to retain, educate these officials, and it's hard. I mean, it's very hard.
Good luck with that, particularly retention. The PIAA, Dr. Lombardi and his staff, they've gone to great lengths in the last couple years. There's advertisements in game programs. They do it online. And I think it has worked to an extent. They've gotten more involved.
It has, and what we're trying to do is to get with Doc Lombardi and try to, go in the other districts to this evaluation process, just to help officials, okay? And that's what we're here for, to give back. We were very lucky to have an officiating career and now evaluating career. So, we're blessed with that.
John, thanks for coming down tonight. We're going to throw it over to Frank Pryor. Frank was an official. Now he's an evaluator doing for the PSAC. I see the golf shirt, so I know where you're at now, Frank. But what's harder, reffing a game or evaluating one?
Actually, it's evaluating it. I was blessed, very blessed. I was just recently inducted into the Hall of Fame in Washington, Greene County, for being an official and teaching.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Teaching 34 years at Best Center. That's where I'm from. So the drive here tonight was a long one, and it was like, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? I've really been blessed. Great people, from Tim O'Malley to Ed. I've refereed at Beaver Falls when Ed was the AD, so that's how far that goes back. And I just saw a friend of mine, Luann Grabowski, when she was at Newcastle, and I was still allowed to do women's and men's. Now you can't do that anymore, or you can, but it's not. It's not the right thing to do. I did Kobe Bryant's last high school basketball game at the PIAA in front of the largest crowd ever in the old Hershey Farm Arena, and you guys might have been there, Father, I know.
We were there,
yeah. So I think I lived more up here in Beaver County than I did from Washington County, and as an official. But to answer your question, it is very difficult, and it's hard because you want everyone to succeed. And when they make a mistake, everybody knows the mistake is made. I go to Cal U because I live 8 minutes away. I go to Seton Hill. I go to IUP. I'll take a ride to Slippery Rock. So it's a difficult process. And those guys and females, because I do both the guys and the girls' games. There's some really good officials out there. I wish there were more from our area, but there unfortunately. I don't know why there is not. It's a difficult thing. I mean, I'm married 30 years, have a son getting his master's at Cal U, graduate from RMU. My daughter's in nursing school at IUP, working at Washington Hospital, and my poor wife is still working, and I'm retired. So
I know the feeling. I've been there, buddy.
It's hard.
You had a guilt trip.
It's hard to manage that. You got to realize you got to manage that. There was nights I would come home 3 o'clock in the morning and go to school, teach first class at 7:15. You can't. That's tough to do. But evaluating is more difficult. And as a coach, and I see the coach behind from Westminster back there, and I'm sure she would agree with me. If a coach is saying something to an official, then listen. And all an official has to do is acknowledge what they say. Shake your head. Yes, coach, no problem. I think the thing is when we lack the communication of ignoring what a coach is saying. And you don't have to carry on a dissertation. Just say, you know what, coach, I might have missed it. And that's okay to say that.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, you know what, coach, I already butchered that. But you got to know when to use it. And I don't know. I've been really blessed, and to do what I have done, and to go where I've been, and to coach baseball, and to do everything. I'm so honored to be here, because we had no idea what we were getting into. And then Ed said, "You're going on the radio," and I said, "Oh, I am." But thank you both. I've never met you before. I'm honored. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
We're happy to have you.
No, I thank you very much. And if anyone wants to talk to me about evaluating and what I look at as an official, I'll be glad to discuss it with them. Definitely, most definitely.
Frank, thanks for coming down.
I wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Bruce, it's not always a head coach that gets the job done. A good head coach needs a great assistant coach, and one of the greatest assistant coaches in girls high school basketball in Beaver County history is none other than Dave Florentine. And Dave, that's not hyperbole, buddy. I mean that. You've meant so much to the Blackhawk girls high school basketball program. And, I know guys like Steve Lodovico and Bobby Amelia, and they all deserve tons of credit. But you're kind of one of those guys behind the scenes. And from what I understand, Greg Houston, the new head coach, asked you to stay on, and you're going to stick with it, right? Good.
Yeah, that is very good. From your standpoint, obviously you're very familiar with Coach Houston, and you have a lot of players back, so it should be good. Yeah, no question about that. But you've also been in a position where you've seen, you've seen. Well, one thing you've seen state championships. Tell us about that.
Yes, we have. We were there this year also. So.
Right, you made it to the final in Hershey.
Correct.
That's for sure. So,
yeah.
but still, we were very. One of the games we did have on Beaver County Radio was your state semifinal win at Newcastle versus North Catholic.
Oh,
that had to be gratifying for you.
Oh, that was a great game. Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah, and of course, in my brain cramp, I forgot to mention Mike DeCellis and Dory Anderson at the time, who led the program as well.
Right.
Mike's here tonight, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, he's been spotted.
We'll get a chance to talk to him.
Steve's here also.
Steve's here too. Good. All right. Great. So we'll get a chance to talk to those guys. But I'm so happy, Dave, you're still involved, because it's good to have good people working with young student athletes. And
thank you.
That's what you are. You've always been a great guy, and I know that. I know a guy like Bob Berrican meant a lot to you as well. You spent so much time with Bob talking about strategy before games. We'd bug you for lineup information and scouting reports. And Bob and I would talk, and we're like, gee, we hope these coaches aren't getting sick of us. And I'm like, dude, we're just doing our job. Don't worry about it, Bob. But Bob would always worry if we were bothering you guys too much.
There was one thing about Bob that maybe a lot of people don't know. Every year, Bob and I and a couple other gentlemen would go down to Brady's Run, and we would read off the names of people who had passed away from cancer.
Oh, okay.
And Bob used to help me out. I'd say, Bob, how do you pronounce this name? How do you pronounce that name? And he knew how to pronounce all of them. So, but that was quite a unique tribute to him to do it every year.
Yeah, that's good, and he is certainly missed, but he will not be forgotten either. We do wish you the best. And speaking of Brady's Run, that's where Scott Alex and they have that summer league down there.
Yeah.
And your own Aubrey Hupp is certainly holding her own. I believe she made the All-Stars down there.
Yeah,
and she's having a good summer.
Doing a really nice job.
And let's also remind our listeners she's only going into 10th grade, so that's good for your program.
Yeah, we hope.
All right, Dave, thanks for coming down, and
thank you.
Thanks for staying on with the Blackhawk program. So it'll be good to see you on the sidelines this winter once again.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a familiar face.
All right, buddy.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Very good. We're moving right across 15010.
Bruce, we got a championship swimmer here. We don't get to interview too many swimmers. So let's talk to Courtney. You have the list, Bruce?
Yeah, Heard, I believe. Yeah. Great to have you here. Again, you're the first swimmer. You're representing that whole sport entirely tonight. But congratulations, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Yeah, I kind of figured I would be, but so a little bit about my story is I started swimming in high school and actually did pretty well. was really thankful for the opportunity to have the pool open at the time. Graduated in 2007, and through that I got the opportunity to swim at Westminster College. So I went there and swam there and actually made nationals.
Now, what years were you at Westminster College?
2007 to 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. But at BF, I mean, you don't, in these days, BF swimming does not get a lot of notoriety, but oftentimes you have to do 2-a-day workouts. Were you able to do that here when you were a Tiger?
We tried a little bit. It was hard just because getting pool time and getting people to come in and open the pool was difficult. But we made the most of it and had some good group of teachers that were willing to jump in and help us out and be there to write some workouts for us. And it was really cool, and actually made whip-eels in swimming in high school. So that was, making it that far coming from Beaver Falls was like a really a big thing. So
getting to Trees Pool is a big deal for anybody, that's for sure.
Who did you bring with you, Courtney? Introduce your friend?
So moving forward to after college, because I love swimming so much, I started coaching swimming, and then got my sister, Chelsea Hurt Dawson, into coaching. And so she actually took over the Beaver Falls swim team and is the head coach of that.
Yeah, great.
So she's been trying to, just help keep the pool open and keep the kids joining the team. Started a co-op with New Brighton. So I brought her along to talk as well about the program and what they're doing now at the swim team.
Did you guys ever have a race in the pool?
We did not, but Courtney would beat me.
Okay, you're being honest.
Hands down. But no,
Bruce would beat me in a race too if we ran, so don't feel bad.
Well, I am definitely a proud older sister, but I teach kindergarten down here at Central Elementary for the Beaver Falls School District, and have been coaching the high school swim team for the past 6 years. We've been doing some pretty amazing things. One, getting our pool reopened. We have one of the prettiest pools in Beaver County, so definitely have to come check us out. We've done some fundraising to get new benches. We have a new scoreboard, and it's such a great program now that we co-op with New Brighton and Beaver Falls.
So New Brighton, on a typical day, their athletes would come here to BF. That's how that works?
Yes.
Do you high school swimming, a big part of that is the dual meets, and it's good to have enough bodies, because you don't want people in X amount of events that can maybe burn out your top-notch people.
Absolutely.
Are you finding that you're getting more people involved to kind of fill the gaps in the lineup?
Absolutely, and a lot of teams are actually doing that now. So we're trying to rebuild the sport you'll see a lot of high school teams co-op with each other now just to keep the rosters up.
Just right over the bridge, you've got an absolute monster in Riverside. So if you have that right around the corner, the more athletes you find, the better off you'll be.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys so much.
Well, being from Beaver Falls, you have to feel proud of Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. This is a pretty nice establishment to have in here down in the Falls. Have you been here before?
Yes, absolutely. And Courtney actually graduated with Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda and I graduated together, and then I had Ed, as a teacher growing up in middle school. So always been close with the family. So she invited me to come on down and said, "We'd love to talk to you." So that's kind of how that happened. So.
Well, thanks for coming down and spending a few minutes with us. Great to meet you, and continued success.
I like it. We knew we were in for a lot of things tonight. I didn't think BF swimming was one of them. I would have been sleeping under a bridge on that. I would have lost that bet.
All right, we want to thank our group. We're going to take another break. We'll be back after this time out on a Coach's Corner Reunion Show on Beaver County Radio.
Make this the year you make all your remodeling dreams come true and call Carver Construction in New Brighton today. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. They've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. Let Carver Construction help with your remodeling plans right now. Call 724-847-1572 or visit their website, carverconstructionpa.com. Mitch Carver and everyone at Carver Construction is happy to help sponsor the Coach's Corner Reunion Show Wednesday, July 12th on Beaver County Radio. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in Beaver Falls.
After any big game, people will be talking. This is Ellen Bross from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. The same is true when you get your new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers will notice the new winning style reflected in the car, truck, or SUV you just got from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Located on University Boulevard, across from Robert Morris. Click and save at moonford.com and discover what the talk is all about. Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
The Larry Bruno Foundation 12th Annual Circle of Achievement Banquet will be held on Saturday, July 29th at Shadow Lakes Country Club. There will be 9 inductees this year. Included is the Livingston Scholarship, presented to a CCBC student in law enforcement, and the Tronzo Family Scholarship for a dedicated person who helps others in our communities. The Larry Bruno Foundation consists of members in local sports, artists, music, and business communities. The Circle of Achievement Banquet is July 29th. Call 412-298-1430 to purchase tickets.
Tune in every Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. for another insightful edition of Living Well, a special segment on Beaver County Radio designed to help you enjoy the best, most fulfilling, and healthiest life possible. Hosted by Dr. Joseph Maroon and Jeff Boast, and presented by St. Barnabas. Living Well, Saturday mornings at 8:30. Right here on Beaver County Radio, WBVP Beaver Falls, WMVA Ambridge, along with 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM. Tune in to Teleforum with Eddie Crow, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, right here on Beaver County Radio. Eddie has a unique outlook on things, and we'll be discussing the issues that are important to the people of Beaver County. Eddie will also have monthly guests along with other special guests. Curtis Walsh will have news at the top and bottom of the hour, so make sure you tune in to Teleforum with Eddie Crow, weekdays from 9 a.m. to noon, right here on 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 and 95.7 FM, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Did you know that if you have the ability to listen to the radio, you have the ability to dig a ditch? It's true. By renting the right equipment from D&G Rentals in Beaver Falls, you can turn big projects into simple ones. So if you can master your cell phone, you can probably build a new patio or pour a new sidewalk. You already have the know-how, you just don't have the right tools. And that's where D&G Rentals comes in. Visit dgrent.com. So remember, if you can change the channel, you can probably change a transmission with a little help from D&G Rentals.
Beaver County Radio is your source for local news in Beaver County and surrounding areas. Tune in weekdays starting at 6:30 a.m. for news reports at the top and bottom of each hour with Curtis Walsh. Eddie Crow has afternoon news at the bottom of each hour, and news correspondents Sandy Giordano and Matt Durzik have reports from local school board and municipal meetings. You can also follow Beaver County Radio on our website at beavercountyradio.com and our Facebook page for breaking news as it happens. With all that coverage, you don't need to go anywhere else but Beaver County Radio News and beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by the Larry Brunel Foundation, Carver Construction, D&G Rentals, Falcones Moon Township 4, Luxembourg Garbett Kelly and George, and the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Now let's return to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill for more action from tonight's show.
All right, back with, I think, group number 5. Bruce, I lost count.
Yeah, me too. We should have used Roman numerals like they do in the Super Bowl. It might have been easier. But this is a good group. We're glad to have these young men involved in, I don't know, what sequence do we want to go?
Well, we'll start with Tommy Campbell, the Aliquippa great NFL experience, played for the Tennessee Titans. And Tommy, I know you were in Canada as well. Now you've been on Sherman McBride's staff at Ambridge High School. First of all, let's go back to your high school days. Not only a great defensive back, but you ran track as well. Bruce is a track coach, so he knows that you were one of the fastest guys to ever come out of Beaver County.
But
Bruce, you know more about this than I do.
I know exactly. Tommy Campbell's the 100-meter dash record holder at Aliquippa. That's it. That's what, right? What else am I lying?
That's the truth.
Yeah, and
that's saying a mouthful there. Then
it truly is. When you and Tommy, isn't it true?
And Bruce, you're the fastest runner at WBVP Radio. So,
quite possibly.
So
but
you and Tommy are cut from the same.
Well,
mold.
Tommy, the one thing I remember, Tommy Campbell, he set the tone in 2005 when Aliquippa won the state. By the way, in track. Am I lying on that too? The same thing.
Yep,
it happened, but Tommy left a lasting impression. When the guys get into their block for the 100-meter dash final in Shippensburg, Tommy Campbell takes his water bottle and turns around and spikes it off the fence, right? Did that not set the tone?
Yeah.
I like that move. That was a fine gesture of authority. But Tommy, even to this day, don't you have street races in Aliquippa? Don't you still get challenged?
Yeah, I still run against some of those guys. Me and MJ Devonshire ran a couple times. You know, he ended up getting me once. You know, but I still got 2-on-1 of him. So
right, and we should also note that he is a state champion himself.
No, he's a young great athlete for sure.
Tommy, does the fire still burn to play the game? You look in great shape. Looks to me like you could suit up and play this weekend if you had to.
No, I mean the fire definitely still burns, man. You know, retirement was a hard thing to do, but you know, one of the things and one of the reasons why I retired was to help be a better father for my kids, you know, and in my dream help my kids start pursuing theirs.
And Tommy, real quickly, because we don't really get a lot of exposure to us, tell us about the CFL and what that's like, that whole experience. The field's wider. That's the only thing I know about it.
I mean the field was wider. The skill players is still great football up there. Just the field is wider. That's about it.
Yeah, well, I'll take your word for it, but we're glad to have you back here. You've always been community-oriented, and I also would personally thank you. You would know what year it was, but you were a member of the Tennessee Titans, and you actually came up the rickety steps to the Aliquippa press box and came and served as a halftime guest. We'll always remember that, having a live NFL player on our halftime show.
No problem.
All right. Thanks so much, Tommy. We'll always remember.
You're helping Sherman McBride out at Ambridge now. I don't know. You quip guys going across the bridge to help the Bridgers out. That says a lot there. But Sherm, one of the classiest gentlemen I've ever met in my entire life. Tell us what you're doing for Sherm on his staff.
I'm the defensive coordinator and the assistant head coach. You know, I just try to help kids become better men first. You know, football players second. You know, that's kind of the key thing to being an athlete.
Is there any truth that the Silver Fox might be coming out of retirement?
No,
Speak it up.
He's the offensive coordinator.
Oh, there we go.
You got to keep that a secret, though.
Tommy, in lieu of what happened over the weekend, the tragic loss of 2 young Aliquippa youths, as a former athlete, what you just said, that you want to have an impact on these kids, and I think the more guys like you step up and take on leadership roles, I think that's so important in the community, and I commend you for that, and my heart, my heart and prayers just go out to the whole Quip community for what they've had to go through over this weekend, and just keep being a positive role model as much as you can for these young guys, because that's really what they need. They need someone to look up to. It's not always about what you did on the football field. It's how you carry yourself as a man, and I think a guy like Sherman McBride is a testament to that as well.
Without a doubt. Like going in, one of the key things that we want, is to help these student athletes become great men, and football take care of itself. Being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, doing everything with passion, showing respect for people you're supposed to show respect to.
Okay, and Tommy, real briefly, just to close it out, a quick reminder, if you're not aware, you're our second game of the season, Freedom at Ambridge. I believe it's September 1st, the day, right, Labor Day weekend, so we'll look forward to that.
We're going to beat Freedom.
Okay. Okay.
Spoken like a true coach. And Tommy, thanks.
Thank you.
We got a Hall of Famer right next to Tommy Campbell. Gino DeMarco, the Hall of Fame coach of Geneva College. Gino, we talked to Tommy a little bit about being a representative for young men and giving someone a role of leadership. You've done that. You're the epitome of that at Geneva and your whole program. It's not all about wins and losses at Geneva. It's about building character and building fine young men. And you've had a lot of great young men come through your football program. Congratulations on all of your success. We appreciate your friendship at the radio station. Good to see you. Welcome aboard.
Talked about Tommy being at Ambridge. It got a heavy heart tonight because Neil Catch, who played for us, Mike, you remember Neil, Jeff, you remember Neil. Neil was an All-American offensive lineman for us, and his wife passed away recently from cancer. In fact, tonight she's being laid out, so couldn't be there and here, and I just wanted to shout out.
Right. I mean, it was only 3 weeks ago that Neil was one of the masterminds behind Pennsylvania in the Penn Ohio game.
That was a tremendous team effort. Those kids and the coaches did a great job with only 28 guys on that. That was an incredible game.
Thanks for bringing up Neil's passing of his wife Maggie. Just tragic. Way too young to go, and I know she's been struggling for several years. It's been a tough battle for her, and certainly our love and prayers go out to Neil, one of the great guys in the business. No matter whether he was a player or a coach, I still think he did a heck of a job down at Ambridge, and maybe they should have stuck with him a little bit longer at the time. But that's the way things go. You know that, being involved in coaching. It's just.
I'm sure there's a few people that think Geneva's sticking with me a little bit too long.
No, Gino, you've been great in the way,
if Jeff's one of them.
If somebody walked off the street and went into the lounge at St. Vincent College during a PAC media day, they would see how much respect you get universally from your peers as coaches in the PAC, and that's because of your longevity and your integrity. And again, you've been an emotional rock for that conference. I'm fairly sure you were on the grief committee when the young man from Knock was murdered at W&J back in whenever, and you served on that as well, if you recall what I mean. They're football players.
That was really difficult. All of us had recruited that young man. His father was a doctor. He was at W&J, and we just wanted to reach out. That's what coaches do. I'm no different. These guys do the same thing. It's a fraternity, whether you're talking basketball, football. It's just a fraternity. When things like that happen, the coaching profession is about serving your players. It's hard to describe what that is to someone that has not been involved in athletics. But when that happened, that hit all of us because we knew the kid.
Gino, you guys have a saying down at Geneva. It's a person who is heavily involved with Geneva, has a commitment to the college. They'll say, that guy's a Geneva guy. He's a Geneva guy. Well, Bob Barrickman was a Geneva guy. He bled black and gold. And you guys honored him with the honorary G a few years back. And let me tell you, as Bob's friend, that meant an awful lot to him. I remember he had that G up on his mantle in his house. It was one of the, more proud things that he displayed.
It was right up there with Midland winning the state from the Beaver County Times and some of his other high archives.
And a picture of Amber Burkage.
Yeah, and Lauren Williams.
I took a couple pictures of the stuff in the studio, and but that I will tell you this. Didn't know at the time, but the last coach's corner that we did was Bob and myself and John Parado. And I made a comment that night that it was the only time in the history of the coach's corner that they had a coach that was on that had lost the first 4 games of the season. And it was a really tough night. They couldn't find anybody else, so I just came down.
Oh, no.
I didn't know that would be, it, but in any event.
Well, there's no way we can replace a Bob Barrickman, but I'm glad to know that the station has tabbed Bruce Frey as the new play-by-play man for Geneva College football this fall. So, Gino, the Golden Tornadoes will be in good hands with Mr. Frey calling the shots this fall.
Really excited about it again. You can't replace Bob, but somebody will come along.
Right.
For all of us. I mean, I don't know who would replace these guys next to me, but somebody will have to take
But to Gino's everlasting credit, towards the end of the 22 season, when Bob wasn't always there, whenever I would see Gino before the game, he would not start out with the injury report. He would start out with, "How's Bob? Have you seen him lately?" And that's the kind of attention that you gave him.
Well, he's all dear to us, and, he'll always be in our memories. Guys, thank you for this. Thank you for this event tonight.
He'll be floating around Reeves this fall, trust me. He won't trust Fry to do the game by himself.
Well,
he'll be there in the press box somewhere.
I'm still trying to figure out, Joe Ursita's doing the play-by-play.
No, he's doing the color.
Like at home games. And
yes.
I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about that because he coached me. We coached together, and then he coached for me. So I'm petrified. Bruce, you're going to have to talk a whole lot. Don't let him speak much.
I'll do my best to use up airtime, but we look forward to it. It should be a good dimension. We appreciate
DeMarco,
it.
the head coach of the Golden Tornadoes football team.
Yes.
Thanks, Gino. Mike DeChellis, longtime assistant coach under Gino, but really the man who started the program at Blackhawk for ladies basketball. Mikey, think back about all those great years that you had coaching girls basketball at Blackhawk, and you set the tone. And boy, Steve Lodovico, whose hair he just carried on, and now Greg Houston's going to take on. It just it seems like you guys have done such a great job. And Dory Anderson, after you left, stepped up and replaced you. So that program still has to be special to you, doesn't it? Isn't it?
No question about it. And like I said, I started the program, but these guys have accelerated the program to where it's at today. And that's great to see that one guy doesn't matter. Like Steve left this year, and he's done such a tremendous job at Blackhawk to win some state titles and get to know the young ladies and run a great program that continues. And that makes me more proud than anything. And of course, being a part of that, and my family being a part of that was big time. My daughter played for us, and that was very special. And I'm very fortunate to be in that position, and just had great people around me at the time, like always. It just doesn't take one man.
Mike, real quickly, how did the whole, you started the program from scratch. How and why did that take place?
Oh, geez, that was a long time ago. Actually, my oldest daughter, who's 41 now, was going to school, and I was coaching football at Blackhawk, and John had mentioned to me about maybe helping him out. And I said, well, I wanted to stay with football. And so then I helped basketball at the 7th and 8th grade. Me and Alan Guandola, I don't know if he's here, but we did that. And then the job opened up, and I said, well, my daughter, I wanted to get her to get involved in something, and so I took over it. And like I said, I had, at the very beginning, I don't know, you remember Ricky McGlure? He was my first assistant, and I had Chad Claver, who's my other assistant.
There you go.
So, you put great people around. And I know, like Steve will say the same thing. He has Dave over here, Florentine, that has done. He's been involved in basketball for such a long time, and that's what it takes. And so, I was very fortunate to have people besides me, youth, and John used to help coach my junior high team.
Yeah,
John Miller,
no doubt. Yeah.
so.
Well, it is amazing. Blackhawk, for the uninitiated, if you're a broadcaster, it's a great place to be involved with because they hand you, that sheet of paper, that whole manual of what they've. But when you look at the Blackhawk girls overall, it's very impressive. Between you and Dory, that whole entire list. You can find out where Steve Lodovico lives. They pass out everything. So it's a very comprehensive sheet that they give. But you set the ball rolling, no doubt.
Well, and continuity makes a big difference. And we had since '86, we've only had 3 head coaches there. Myself, Dory, then I went back for a few more years, and then Steve took over. So when you have that, and you had a great athletic director in Jack Fullen supporting you, a lot of good things happen. And like I said, it takes more than one man.
Mike, thanks for coming down. Always great to see you, my friend. You don't age at all. You look great, my man.
Oh, that's one of the best comments of the day. Thank you.
All right, we're going to turn it over to
Right,
Lenny
thank
Leeper
you.
talking about officials and evaluators, a Hall of Fame guy in the Beaver County Sports Hall of Fame in his own right. Lenny Leeper. Len, we were talking to some of the other officials and evaluators, and when we traveled throughout the state, I think us broadcasters really began to realize how lucky and blessed we were with the officiating in District 7. Because when we left District 7 during the state playoffs, things weren't quite as good as we were used to. We were a little bit spoiled. You were a huge part of that. Talk a little bit about the camaraderie and why you have so many good officials in District 7.
Well, I think Tony touched upon it earlier. When you look at the teams over the years that we've had an opportunity to officiate, the Blackhawks and the Aliquippas and the Monakas and the coaches. I started out with Sonny Nickel and Bob Rao and John Miller. You got to learn quick. You got to learn under fire. So like Tony said, when you go on to the playoffs, the games are actually easier. And a lot of these areas, District 10, for example, the caliber of basketball, the caliber of athletics is just not the same. And we're under fire a lot of times. I mean, you had for years Aliquippa Beaver Falls was a big rivalry. Blackhawk Beaver Falls, Monaca Rochester. You always work the games at full houses. It was a lot of pressure. But those games are, believe it or not, easier because you have good coaches that coach. You have good players that play. You just need to do your job.
Yeah, the one we always remember, too, was the Blackhawk Christmas tournament under the auspices of Mr. Fullen here. But you never know who was going to be here from what state. And I'm sure that made you elevate your game as well, some of those teams that came in.
Yeah, Jack did a hell of a job over the years with that tournament. You think back all the talent that went on to college and played in that tournament. It's amazing for years and years. And packed gyms, every night, just to see that kind of talent.
Lenny, are you still evaluating this fall for football?
I am. I'll be out there for football. I'll be evaluating. Matter of fact, I'm working on the schedules right now. I got about 3/4 of it done as far as signing the crews, and I'll be out there every Friday evaluating.
Put yourself on Central Valley's home game so I can see you, my friend.
There you go.
All right, Lenny. Thanks for everything.
Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Yes,
Thank
we'll
you.
see you. Yes.
There's the old retired guy up next. Steve Lodovico. Steve, first of all, congratulations on your decision. I know that's difficult, but it seems to me like family comes first, and it just was time. Is that basically the bottom line?
Yeah, exactly. It was time. 18 years is a long time. I could have kept going. We have a lot of talent coming back, this year, as you guys know, but came down to the family. 3 kids at home, live at Seneca Valley. Just missing too much of their stuff, so it was time to be there and present at their games and do things with them now. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, the follow-up question obviously is for somebody your age, and it's one we've always given Doug Biega, who retired at a relatively young age. Do you ever see yourself jumping back in?
I mean, sure. I'd never close the door. Basketball has always been my passion. Love coaching, love being around the game. So I'm still involved with it now. I started up a league this summer for junior high. We run it out at North Hills. So I'm doing that, coaching my daughter's team at Seneca Valley.
Any openings with the Raiders at Seneca Valley?
No, nothing yet. So I'm going to be happy just even this year, taking a year off and, just kind of watching games I don't get to see and maybe catch some boys' games, different girls' games that I haven't been able to watch.
You used to battle wits with Greg Houston at Beaver when he was at Beaver. You guys had some monumental games against each other. Are you happy that Greg got the job, or did you have a preference, or you really kind of were hands off? How do you feel about the whole transition?
Yeah, I was hands off. I really didn't want to have a part in it. I knew a lot of people who were applying for it, and I didn't want to really be involved. But Greg's a good guy, Blackhawk guy, so I think he's going to do a good job there. And he and I have had a lot of good battles through the years, so I'm happy that he got the job for sure.
Yeah, Steve, I haven't had a chance. I really haven't seen you privately or publicly, but I did want to congratulate you on your recently concluded 2023 season. It had to have been a great thrill for you to win the West Final at Newcastle against North Catholic and then advance to Hershey.
Oh, that's always a good one. North Catholic has been a thorn in our side for many years, so to win that game after losing in the Whippeal title game to them and the way we won and being the big underdog in that game, it was special. So it was a really good moment for us in our program.
Yep. Just couldn't get the shots to fall in Hershey.
Yeah, we had a good half. That first half, I felt good about it. Had a rough third quarter, then came back in the fourth and almost got it. But, when you get there and you're facing teams like Lansdale Catholic from Philly, you're facing the top teams in the state, and I'm very proud where we ended up.
Tough injury to overcome too. Talk about that.
Yeah, Quinn was a big part of our team, and that's what really made the season special, was losing someone of her caliber and having a girl like Aubrey Hupp step in and not miss a beat and still get back to Hershey was really special, and just kind of shows the grit and determination of that
Steve,
group.
that injury you mentioned, that was in a scrimmage. That was almost, I think you told me it was almost Rod Woodson-like, because it involved no contact.
None. Nope.
No contact with anybody.
Took a step, tore the Achilles just like Jeff, and down she went. But that was the first time.
We'll get to him later.
Yeah. That was the first time I saw it in my 18-year career of a high school kid with the Achilles. You see ankles and knees, but for someone to go down with the Achilles, it was heartbreaking for Quinn, for sure.
Steve, enjoy your time with the family. They're only young for a short amount of time. It grows fast. I'm an old man with 3 grandkids, so trust me, it moves along pretty quickly. Enjoy it. Thanks for the great job you did at Blackhawk and all the cooperation you gave us as a head coach when we bugged you before games and after games. We appreciate it very much.
I appreciate you guys. Everything that you have done, and Bob, and for our program and following us and putting girls basketball on the radio. Something that never really was done before, and a lot of counties don't get that, but Beaver County gets that. So thank you guys for that.
Thanks,
appreciate
Steve.
it.
Our pleasure, no doubt.
We'll keep it in basketball. The head basketball coach at Geneva College, Jeff Sanacero. He's on the IL, Bruce. He's got a big walking boot on, and Jeff, how did you tear your Achilles? Did you go up and try to dunk?
No, I got a heel spur, and the doctor also said the profession I do, and between coaching for 42 years and refereeing for 30 years, it just kind of wear and tear got to it. So I had 2 tears. Got through the season, opted for surgery afterwards, and now I'm just in the recovery phase. So it's been a little bit longer than I thought, but hopefully I'll be able to get out and play a little golf, and I'm still hitting the road recruiting this weekend, so just limping a little bit more.
No, it's great to have you here. We're glad you had time to come and join us, and so you're expected to be at full speed by the time hoops rolls around.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to sit in a chair like Coach wouldn't.
No. I didn't sit this year with the injury, but excited to get back and get the team back and be able to have another good season.
Jeff, how was the off season for you? Looking forward to the new recruits.
Yeah, we had a good recruiting year. Obviously, we lost just a tremendous player in Lyle Tipton. Finished number 2 in scoring in the NCAA Division III. Opted to take his COVID year at Gannon. He's up at Gannon University on a full ride athletic scholarship, which he deserves. We'd like to have him back, but I couldn't see him paying $40,000 just to play basketball.
Right.
So happy for him. But we got a bunch of good guys coming back. Had a good recruiting year. Have a good sophomore class. So excited to get back. In fact, Mike helps me out. My assistant left late last year in August, so I needed somebody, and Mike was gracious enough to come and help us out.
Awesome.
He's going to help us out a little bit again this year, and we were just talking how excited we are for the year to come.
Very good. Who do you see as the teams to beat in the pack coming up?
Well, Geneva.
Good.
No.
That's one of the better answers I've heard. That's pretty good.
I think that Chatham, the top 4 or 5 that are there every year, I think Chatham and Westminster and St. Vincent and W&J are the ones that you have to pay particular attention to. But as well as I do, covering games, it's to get a win in Matheny is a tough thing. So I think our winning percentage in Matheny over the last 10 years is about 75%. Except when, actually, I have a quick fun story about Bob. So the last 5 games that Bob did, we lost. So I saw him at a high school game. I said, Bob, are you doing a game this year? He goes, yeah, we're going to come and do the Westminster game. So he came and we did the Westminster game, and I said, your record's not very good. He goes, yeah, I know. He says, but I really want to cover the game. And we ended up winning in overtime. So
excellent, a good conclusion.
It was a good memory of Bob, and I have so many great memories of Bob. The one thing he loved Pizza Joe's Pizza.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that press box couldn't get enough. So, but he would travel with the football team and do that. But what a tremendous guy, and he'll be missed. But certainly his memory lives on.
We certainly, we'll try to keep you more involved, too. For years, you were our leadoff man at the first Coach's Corner in January after the holiday break. We'll try to reinstitute that tradition.
Yeah, that's why we enjoy coming down and sharing with the guys. And my guys like coming down and getting, wings and pizza and stuff like that. But you guys do such a great job with athletics. And like Steve said, the elevation that you guys have done over the years with high school sports, there's not a lot of people that do that. District 10 does a little bit, but it's more geared to boys sports and everything. But you guys have made it really inclusive with boys and girls, and you just do such a great job. So we look forward to hearing you on the radio.
Yes, Jeff, thanks for saying that. But it's guys like you and Gino that make it easy. I mean, we don't have the hard job. We just show up and talk about what we see in front of us. But you coaches are the ones. We got to get all the information from you. We got to bug you. Get starting lineups, get injury reports. We got to drive you guys crazy. But so you've made our job easy down through the years, is what I'm trying to say. So we appreciate you as much as you might appreciate us covering the games.
Yeah, we enjoy. We love the schools at Beaver County, and obviously college athletics in Beaver County, and you guys do a great job. You're never a burden. Let's put it that way. We always love seeing you.
Jeff, we always remember your '93 team and traveling in the snow and trying to get to the Nationals and all that. That was a mind-boggling sequence.
That was the snow, the March snow of the century. I remember we got out of Pittsburgh and we had to take 2 separate flights, and my group got stuck in St. Louis, so we were thinking about driving vans, and we ended up the NAIA actually moved the games for us, which made Malone University very mad because they had to play at 8 o'clock in the morning when they were supposed to play at 1. What a great run. I mean, that was just that championship game at Matheny with the fire marshal closed the doors at 5:30. There was probably 4,700 people in Matheny.
Yeah, that has to be the record high, you would think.
Yeah,
it has to be.
Yeah, we had people all over the place, but when we went Division III, we lost a little bit of the rivalries, but we're starting to get those back now, and by January and February, we're averaging close to 1,000 people for our games, which is good. We try to put a good product out there, and I think we've done a good job over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think Van Zanik, the athletic director, he does a great job there promoting Geneva sport. You have 2 great venues, Reeves and in the field house. I mean, it's just it's a great place to go watch a basketball game. I still wish they had more WPIL playoff games there, Jeff,
Right.
because I think back to when Aliquippa in 2016 won their state title, and they had to play Lincoln Park in the Western Final to get to Hershey. That game was at your place,
Right.
standing room only. It was electric.
The same thing when Dante was playing against the Nesmiths. That
Yeah,
92
Beaver Falls
game.
and Blackhawk,
Right. I was minding my own business getting there at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, and
Yeah.
the line was halfway down to the Pizza Joe's you talked about.
Yeah, Matheny has such great history. I mean, obviously being the birthplace of college basketball, but it just has such great history from the teams from the 50s and those guys from that were all county guys, like Stan Ukaika and all the Otto Pritchard and all those guys. Just the history, and we're just trying to make those guys proud.
Yeah, that's for sure. The final thing, we talk about 93 in the coach's corner. There was a guy on that team. There was a dude named Bob Book who could throw away wings like nobody we've ever had on that show. I don't know why you remember stuff like that, but Bob Book could throw down wings.
Bobby Book is still a tremendous eater. He's actually he's an assistant coach up at Slippery Rock.
Oh, really?
And
Great.
his son's will be a junior, but I see Bobby all the time on the recruiting show.
Good.
And
Tell him I said
hopefully
hi.
he'll be in the Hall of Fame soon.
Jeff, get that leg healthy so you can get out on the links before you get too busy to go golfing.
Absolutely. I want to get golfing, and I want to get back to officiating, too. So
All right,
it'll be
thanks for
fun.
coming down.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yes,
buddy.
all right.
All right, we're going to take another time out. We'll be back after this break for more on the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. Live at the Jus1More Sports Bar in Bar and Grill in Beaver.
Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in Beaver Falls.
The Larry Bruno Foundation 12th Annual Circle of Achievement Banquet will be held on Saturday, July 29th at Shadow Lakes Country Club. There will be 9 inductees this year. Included is the Livingston Scholarship, presented to a CCBC student in law enforcement, and the Tronzo Family Scholarship for a dedicated person who helps others in our communities. The Larry Bruno Foundation consists of members in local sports, artists, music, and business communities. The Circle of Achievement Banquet is July 29th. Call 412-298-1430 to purchase tickets.
Did you know that if you have the ability to listen to the radio, you have the ability to dig a ditch? It's true. By renting the right equipment from D&G Rentals in Beaver Falls, you can turn big projects into simple ones. So if you can master your cell phone, you can probably build a new patio or pour a new sidewalk. You already have the know-how, you just don't have the right tools. And that's where D&G Rentals comes in. Visit dgrent.com. So remember, if you can change the channel, you can probably change a transmission with a little help from D&G Rentals.
Make this the year you make all your remodeling dreams come true and call Carver Construction in New Brighton today. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. They've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. Let Carver Construction help with your remodeling plans right now. Call 724-847-1572 or visit their website, carverconstructionpa.com. Mitch Carver and everyone at Carver Construction is happy to help sponsor the Coach's Corner Reunion Show Wednesday, July 12th on Beaver County Radio.
Tune in to Teleforum with Eddie Crow, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, right here on Beaver County Radio. Eddie has a unique outlook on things, and we'll be discussing the issues that are important to the people of Beaver County. Eddie will also have monthly guests, along with other special guests. Curtis Walsh will have news at the top and bottom of the hour, so make sure you tune in to Teleforum with Eddie Crow, weekdays from 9 a.m. to noon, right here on 1230 WBVP. 1460 WMBA, 99.3 and 95.7 FM, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
You're listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by the Larry Bruno Foundation, Carver Construction, D&G Rentals, Falcones Moon Township 4, Luxembourg Garbett Kelly and George, and the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Now let's return to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill for more action from tonight's show.
And we're back live at the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. What does it mean? Just one more guest? Just one more drink? Just one more
Just
plate
one more
of food?
interview.
One more, whatever.
We're happy to be here, and certainly grateful to Marissa and Ed Urich and all the other people who made this event possible, no doubt.
Yeah, good night, seeing a lot of old friends, and I think they're friends. I don't know if any of our enemies are here, Bruce.
I hope not.
I haven't seen any of them yet.
I doubt it. It's good, and it has. It's been a great night, and certainly a gem in the middle of the summer when we don't usually do much else.
Well, let's start with group number 6. We're going to start with one of the best athletic directors in all of the WPIAL. Jim Carbone from Beaver Falls High School. Don't shake your head, no, Jimmy. Anytime we've needed anything or wanted to broadcast a game from Beaver Falls, your cooperation has been second to none. Jim, we've had a lot of fun down through the years covering some great teams. Mostly football and basketball, some baseball as well. But, it's been a great history between WBVP and Beaver Falls High School. Jim, welcome aboard. Good to see you as always.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for having me tonight. Thanks for hosting this reunion, and really appreciate what you guys do for the scope of high school athletics. It's just awesome. When I get the call from back when Bob was with us, and he'd call me and say, you guys were coming, you were going to be at Reeves, you were going to be in our gym. We knew it was going to be an electric night. We knew it was going to be great. And we've had a lot of great memories and a lot of great times through the years with you guys. So thank you. Thank you for that.
It's been our pleasure. You guys have had success in multiple sports. We actually heard from you in swimming tonight, too. How about that? Tell us about that.
Sure. Our head swim coach was here this evening along with her sister, who is our best swimmer in Tiger history. She went on to Westminster. Courtney Hertz, she did very, very well there. Broke some records at Westminster. And her sister Chelsea's our head coach. She's doing a great job building our program.
I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't know you had a pool.
We have a pool. In fact, everybody loves our pool. No matter who visits our place says, hey, Beaver Falls got the best pool. It's best kept secret around. So, no, we do. And we're happy with our program. And it's been one of those things, but it's on a rise for us. So we appreciate that.
Jim, as a athletic director, one of the main jobs you have to do is keep head coaches employed. Just recently, Carlos Jeter resigned as your head basketball coach, and you had to go through the process of trying to find someone to replace Carlos, and you came up with Ramon Shepard. Ramon has a pretty extensive background in the coaching profession, actually even on a college level at Polk Community down in Florida, I believe. So tell us a little bit about how that search went and how you landed on Ramon Shepard as your new boys head basketball coach.
So, yes, indeed. Carlos did retire this year, and we appreciate all of Carlos's efforts through the years. Not only was he the head coach for the past 6 years, but he was also an assistant coach under the late, great Dave Podbilski back in the time, and also with Doug Biega. A lot of success there with Doug. And so I'm certainly appreciative, as is the community, of what Carlos contributed to us. Ramon has been on staff. Like you said, he was also at Polk College with Matt Furjanic, and he's also in the family. He's in the Jeter family. He is the brother of Lance Jeter. Ramon he's a class young man. He's come up through the ranks, and I know that he's looking forward to taking over the reins of the program.
And
so
for those not familiar, Lance played at Polk for a year.
Yes, he did. Yeah, so it's great to have Ramon on staff or as our head coach, and we're excited, and I know he is as well.
What about assistant coaches, longtime coaches like Cicero Lassiter? What's Roe up to? Is Roe hanging on, or is he hanging up the whistle as well?
Yeah, Coach Rowe has hung up the whistle.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he retired along with Carlos.
Okay.
Coach Collins is coming back with Ramon. Dwight, so he'll be around. So that'll be good. And I even think Lance is going to surface with us at some point, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for particularly for the young kids, they see those banners hanging in the end zone, so now they get to see the faces behind those banners.
Absolutely. So we're looking forward to a lot of the guys that when I was in my earlier years, and now they're coming back, and they're our head coaches now on our coaching staff, so that's exciting. I'm glad to see the young guys at Beaver Falls want to come back and give, so it's great.
No doubt. And Jim, best wishes to all your teams coming up in the year ahead. We'll obviously keep making our trips back and checking things out. And can you help us out on our broadcast schedule? Is BF 7 or 7:30 for home football kickoffs?
We are 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock all the way. So we heard it in how could I ever forget? Best wishes to Coach Biega and his cross-country team this fall as well.
Absolutely. We'll be visiting you, Bruce.
Very good.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Doug, Jim, thinking of Doug Biega. Jim, your first game, I believe, is going to be the first televised game on the television.
Yes, it is.
Hosting the Cougars.
Have they contacted you yet?
They have.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, we are. So we're the feature game. What is it, August 26th?
Yes,
Week
Friday
0.
night. Yes,
yes. We'll be hosting Blackhawk at night. So, yeah, it should be probably a nice warm evening like it is tonight.
And presumably the lights will stay on, unlike the last time the Cougars visited.
They actually
your poise. Your poise in that situation is to be commended.
Actually, it was our playoff game. We hosted Ligonier Valley.
Yeah, right.
And,
that's correct.
I happened to call Zach up at Blackhawk and said, "Hey, a chance, can you turn on your lights and open up your gates? We need to play our game tonight." So grateful to our friends at Blackhawk for making that happen.
Well, looking forward to the televised game. I know they contacted me a few weeks ago, and they're going to they're actually going to do a tribute to Bob Barrickman on the broadcast. So they I don't know to what extent, I don't know how much I'll be a part of it, but they have called me for some insight and some at least some quotes and whatnot. So hopefully, and I know they will. They'll do Bob well. When they called me, they said, "Boy, we just such a big Beaver County game, and it'll be the first one without Bob in football season." So that'll be an emotional night too, and that's when it's going to really hit home. I think I miss him every day, but it's really going to be tough in the fall when he's not in that press box at Reeves.
It really is. We miss Bob. We're hoping that you guys will be there as well. Beaver County Radio, you're always welcome at Reeves Field anytime the Tigers are playing, and also the Beaver Falls Middle School. So thank you, guys.
Our pleasure. Certainly a pleasure, James. We're glad to be out there. All right. And we'll continue. Luann, you know it's great to have you here. Luann Grabowski, and again, I believe you joined Steve Lodovico as a PIAA champion coach in here.
Correct.
So tell us about that. That was your Neshannock run, I believe, in 2022.
Yes, last year. Well, actually 2 years ago. It was a phenomenal run. As you know, the year before we were runner-up, and to get back to the WPIAL and back to the state final, 2 years in a row is very, very difficult to keep the kids focused and motivated. And but when we left Hershey in 2020 with the silver medal, I took it and hung it on the ball rack, and it hung there all year for the following year. So the kids really were phenomenal that year. I mean, we won some big games. Of course, it was different than it is now. We played a lot of our games at home in the state playoffs, first 3 games anyways. And
yeah, that was all pandemic related.
Right.
Because it was basically hard to find schools who wanted to host neutral teams and the additional risk.
Right. We played WPIAL playoffs at home, and then the finals was at NA that year, and then we played state playoff games at home, and then the finals were, at Hershey. But it's unbelievable. and of course, you don't have that success without good kids and great athletes and assistant coaches that'll do just about anything for you. You know, I've had Jess on staff, Jess Shevitz. She was a head coach at Laurel for years, and she left there, and I asked her to come on staff with us, and Rod just joined us last year, and you can't do it yourself in this day and age.
And Rod McCormick with you as well, one
Yes.
of your assistants too, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, the head coach gets all the credit, Luann, but boy, you need a good staff, and you hit the nail on the head. That just you don't win state titles with a lot of help, and but you all have to come together. And what an accomplishment that is, though.
It is.
After all the years you put in,
it took 42.
Was it more relief, or were you just exulting with happiness, or was it a relief? Hey, I finally got one.
Well, there were teams that I thought I could make it. At Newcastle, when we won Whippeal there, and then I left that year to go to Neshannock to coach. I thought that following year in 2009 was the best team I could have had at Newcastle, and I thought we really would have won the state that year, you know, in 4A. But I left to go to Neshannock, and you know, they had a good year, but they didn't make it to the state final. So, you know, it's something that you think about, but it's not something I tried to achieve. It was just, I love coaching. I love seeing kids become better people and better athletes. And winning is a plus to all of that. And of course, when you win a state title, then they consider you for Coach of the Year. There are years where I've done a far better job coaching than when I won that state championship, and they don't even consider you in those years. But yeah, it was by far the best of my 42 years. You know, this year coming up will be 43.
Where's your ring?
We just talked about that. We don't.
Yep.
I don't
Jess
wear
says
them.
I got.
We don't flash. I just don't like to do that.
I'm in her corner all the way.
Yeah, Bruce won state title. I never won a state title. I'd be flashing it like crazy if I ever won one. I had never won anything.
I wear.
That's why I have no jewelry.
We wear.
I'm a loser.
We wear them to games. You know,
Okay, all right.
and on some special occasions, but I just don't wear them to wear them.
But from a coaching standpoint, because we bring this up in our broadcast, would you say that because you went to Hershey and got your silver medal in 2021, would you not say that that's an advantage that your club has been through that whole experience when you get there the next year?
By far, it
right.
is.
Well, that's good. I feel better.
Well, because we were there that year. We were runner-up.
Right.
I mean, we couldn't hit water if we fell out of a boat shooting the ball. I mean, it was the worst shooting experience of our life. You know, we made a run. We made a little comeback. We got in some foul trouble. But that experience is by far the reason we made it back.
Right.
And when we got back, we could see a calmness in the kids like no other because they've been there.
Yeah, and the whole idea of not looking at the Giant Center in awe and
Right.
soaping up all your windows like the parents do, and the whole, you know, having grandma scream at you.
Right.
Once you've gone through that once, you're much better equipped the next time.
Yes.
Well, let's ask Jess. Jess, you used to be a head coach. Now you're an assistant. What do you enjoy better?
She deals with all the problems.
Ah.
Yes. I love it. I get to love kids. I get to be the good cop all the time.
Yeah.
And I love my bench. I think something that gets overlooked in high school sports is there's 5 players on the floor, but there's a whole pile on your bench behind there. And the bench and I have a dang good time. And those kids are important too, and getting them ready for big moments. And I love that angle of the game.
Rod, what's your role with the team?
Well, being that I'm the new kid on the block, I leave all the X's and O's to these two. And I deal with a lot of things like helping, positioning, you know, help out with the fundamentals and so forth. So I've learned a lot off of both of them for 2 years, trust me.
It's also good to have a bunch of no-gays running around. That makes the job better.
That's for sure.
Well, we thank you 3 for coming down, and we'll turn it over to Amy Haggart now, the head softball coach at Beaver High School. And Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. You're a teacher in the Central Valley School District, right?
I am a teacher, yes.
You
Sixth grade.
might have taught my grandson, Parker Marcello.
I did.
Give a report on him. What
Good
kind of kid is he in school?
He's a good kid.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad kid. All right, I'm going to have to give him heck when I get in. Parker, you're in trouble when Pappy gets home. So, but you've had a lot of success, obviously, at Beaver, most recently with the List girls and the whole team. I don't mean to just single them out, that family out, but talk about those special runs that you had in the last several years.
So in 2021, we went undefeated 21-0, won the WIPU, won the state. Actually came from behind in the state to win.
Yeah.
And then continued the win streak the following year. And we went 42 straight wins and then lost a heartbreaker in the state semifinal game.
Yeah, that for sure. And again, Amy, that to your credit, you kept the kids level after that. That it's got to be a tough ride home, but you have to look back at the overall picture and what you did. And again, you're in sequence of order. You're our third state champion coach here. We're glad to have you, but certainly a great run. And the thing I'll always remember is when they would hand me the Beaver roster. Was there 10 or 11 names on it? So to guide something through, you pretty much have no margin for injury or anything like that. So you're also to be credited for navigating that boat down the river.
Yeah, thanks. The year we won states, we had 12 on the roster, and then the following year we had 13. So we really didn't have, like you said, room for injury, and it was tough to keep them level-headed and always, doing what they were supposed to be doing. But I had a great group of girls with huge support from the families, which really helped out.
Yeah, and again, the other thing is because we did a large number of those games, the simplified version was give the ball to number 8 and let her pitch. But you had so many people come up with clutch hits, clutch fielding play. I mean, you have to shed light on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Peyton was Peyton. You gave her the ball, and she averaged, 13 to 16 strikeouts a game. So our
Which
fielders
happens to be 2 per inning.
Yeah, our fielders didn't have a lot of work, but there were times too. She was a huge, contributor offensively too. But there were times where she wasn't, on in that aspect, and the other girls picked her up, which that showed like the true team effort right there.
Was it a challenge for you to coach offensively, thinking the girls might be thinking, oh, don't worry about it, Peyton's not going to give up any runs, if we just get a couple runs, we'll be cool. Did you have to? Was that a concern at all?
No, because the year we won states, we outscored our opponents by a huge margin. And that's, I think the girls felt comfortable, and they really worked hard for her on the mound, so. The margin of errors were very few because we didn't have many balls hit into the field. But, when we did, they were ready to go. And I think that was a tough part that year, too, because they knew that there's not a lot of work to be done defensively because of her on the mound.
Right. Yeah, and again, we definitely enjoyed. Well, I'll always be grateful to you, as we all know, Luann, when you win a WPIL championship, suddenly you got friends from everywhere coming out of the court, coming out of the field. People you might have seen in 1910 come and just emerge on you. But we are forever grateful to you for being gracious enough to speak with us after those games, and as Peyton did as well. And we also, I believe from looking at my phone, that Peyton was a red shirt at Virginia Tech this year.
She
Is
was
that
a
the
red
way you took it?
Yes. Yeah, she was a red shirt this year.
So, well, the best news about it is the fact that Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh are both in the ACC. You would like to think, and I'm sure you would make the trip down to Oakland if she were pitching in a game.
We were going to make the trip down to Florida to watch her in the spring.
There you go.
She redshirted, so we had to back out of that. But I mean, I'm excited to watch her continue.
Amy, they put a new artificial turf practice field behind the high school. Will that benefit you guys at all? Will you be able to go out there maybe in inclement weather and do a little fielding, hitting, and whatever?
Yeah, they have it marked off for, I think, soccer, lacrosse, baseball, and softball. So
okay, cool.
We'll have that. We'll hopefully be able to have scrimmages there, too, so we're not losing some of those early games because of the field conditions. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge, I think, plus for Beaver to have that available to us.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll always appreciate it. It's always good to get one more state champion
Thank you.
under the tent here at Just One More.
Thank you.
And a Beaver County guy, Tony Dvorak. Tony, haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Good to see you. As
See you, Tom.
As you think back about the time you spent as a coach at Beaver Falls, you have to have a lot of great memories. You know, we get together at events like this, and we see guys that we haven't seen for years. And, you know, not that we forget about you, but, you know, kind of out of sight, out of mind type of thing. A get-together like this has to be a lot of fun for a coach that hasn't had a chance to see some of his colleagues in a while, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I'm really thankful that Eddie Yearage invited me, okay, and it's a pleasure to see some of my old coaches, my old coaching buddies, Carl Flory, I coached with, Larry Matrazzo. These are all the Beaver Falls guys. Rick Mancini, of course. I had an opportunity to go back and coach as an assistant with Rick.
Okay.
Back in the early 2000s. So it's great to be back here. I'm in Florida now.
Are you?
Here, I just come up here in June, July, and August, basically.
Well, your timing's good to be here tonight.
Yeah,
that's for sure. But
Are you up
Tony,
for the Larry Bruno Foundation get together as well?
Yes.
Yeah, Tony, from your time, who were I wouldn't say nightmares, but who were the coaches that you felt would be really prepared and you weren't particularly thrilled about coaching against in a matchup?
We're all prepared, trust me. I see Joe Hamilton out there. We played Blackhawk. I see Gumpy Eversberger. Okay, Carl Flory, of course. Okay, everybody that you ran into, their teams were prepared. Okay, and if you weren't prepared, okay, then tough luck for you. That's all I could say. But no, I enjoyed my time at Beaver Falls, and like I said, I'm glad to be back here.
What part of Florida are you residing in?
A place called New Smyrna.
Okay, good.
And there's some good football played down in that direction. Okay.
Did you get out to the games in the fall?
You know what? I've only seen one game in person. Okay. Mark Cheeto and I. Mark used to be the quarterback at Beaver Falls, and he quarterbacked at Geneva. Okay, and there were a couple times that we watched. His son played. I can't think of the name of the team, but anyway, there were on both sides of the ball. There was like 14 Division I kids. Okay, terrific. Okay, terrific players down there.
Yeah, no doubt Florida's a hotbed for talent. So. Yeah. Well, very good, but we're certainly a hotbed here as well.
Yeah, we are.
Tony Dvorak, former head coach of the Beaver Falls Fighting Tigers. Tony, thanks for coming down and spending some time with us in your visit back to PA. Good to see you, my friend, and stay healthy and well.
I will. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take another timeout. We'll be back after this break for more on the Coach's Corner Reunion Show on Beaver County Radio.
The Larry Bruno Foundation 12th Annual Circle of Achievement Banquet will be held on Saturday, July 29th at Shadow Lakes Country Club. There will be 9 inductees this year. Included is the Livingston Scholarship, presented to a CCBC student in law enforcement, and the Tronzo Family Scholarship for a dedicated person who helps others in our communities. The Larry Bruno Foundation consists of members in local sports, artists, music, and business communities. The Circle of Achievement Banquet is July 29th. Call 412-298-1430 to purchase tickets.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Arbit, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Arbit, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys, those in the profession know the lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
After any big game, people will be talking. This is Ellen Barras from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. The same is true when you get your new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers will notice the new winning style reflected in the car, truck, or SUV you just got from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Located on University Boulevard, across from Robert Morris. Click and save at moonford.com and discover what the talk is all about. Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in Beaver Falls. Make this the year you make all your remodeling dreams come true and call Carver Construction in New Brighton today. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. They've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. Let Carver Construction help with your remodeling plans right now. Call 724-847-1572 or visit their website, carverconstructionpa.com. Mitch Carver and everyone at Carver Construction is happy to help sponsor the Coach's Corner Reunion Show Wednesday, July 12th on Beaver County Radio. You're listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by the Larry Brunel Foundation, Carver Construction, D&G Rentals, Falcone's Moon Township 4, Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, and the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Now let's return to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill for more action from tonight's show.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Frank Sparks. I'm the general manager of Beaver County Radio. We wanted to announce to everybody tonight because Eddie and Amanda did such a beautiful job putting this together, and we're just going along for the ride because they approached us and said, hey, we did this in 2021, was it, Amanda? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it again. But tonight, the 50-50, all the money in the proceeds was donated to Bob's sisters in the honor of Bob for the Bob Barrickman Foundation. So thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Eddie. $240. And Jack Fullen was the winner, and he donated $40 as well. So big thank you to everybody, and that's awesome. So it's a great thing. And also, while I have the mic, because Tom's going to take it from me and I ain't going to get it back, we have to get a shout-out to Bruce Frey, who has been with us for 30-plus years now, who's going to be a very integral part of our play-by-play here this fall, especially Geneva College football as well as Beaver County Radio. And somehow, for the second time this year, I've been able to talk Tom Hays out of retirement to come join us. So let's hear it for these guys because they're the best. But here's the deal now, okay, because I'm sitting here with you, Bruce. We got to lead off with my alma mater. Mr. Joe Greco got to be first.
That's fine with me. I mean, there's no shortage of coaching victories at this table. Let's put it that way. But the reason why
Bruce, I want to tell Frank, it's like the mob. Just when you think you're out, they bring you back in. They just keep bringing you back in.
Right.
I'm trying.
The main reason is on a technicality. At this table, Joe Greco is the last coach to win a game. Dan Oliastro's close. He won one in late June, but Joe won one 1 week later. So Joe has the latest win at this table. We might as well go with Joe. And again, congratulations. We had it on Beaver County Radio. Your Pennsylvania club defeated Ohio in the State Line Classic. You were the head coach. So the game didn't pass you by.
It was a lot of fun, Bruce. And I appreciate the committee asking me to come back and coach one more game. But yeah, it was a really exciting game. They changed the rules a little bit to make it more offensive. So it was 30-30 at halftime, you know. So that was a lot of fun. And but in the second half, we shut them out, and were able to
but
put
Joe,
up some points.
After and you're one of the MAC coaches. In your time, you have been victimized by Jaron Brickner and Trey Singleton. So
yeah, right.
you had the brains to use them to your
Right.
advantage.
It was nice to have that lefty throwing the football for us, and Singleton had a great game, and it's fun to get everyone together that victimized you throughout the years.
Joe, you were always one of Bob's favorite guys. We've had so much fun talking to you and your wife Patty and your whole family. We got to know, especially coming down to the coach's corner on Wednesday nights, and we think back about all the New Brighton games that he covered and the games that we were all a part of together as friends. And we had a job to do. You had a job to do, but I like to think we kept it in perspective at least, and we had a lot of fun with it. And you were always one of the guys that was super cooperative with us and gave us all the information we needed. You never dodged the question, and that made our jobs a lot easier. And I know, for one, Bob certainly appreciated what you did for him.
Yeah, what a great guy. I mean, what he did for Beaver County sports and, everything that you guys have done in WBVP has just been outstanding. So, I've always been appreciative of Bob and all the efforts he made. And, whatever team that you guys were broadcasting, you were always rooting for. And, Bob, throughout the playoffs and any time we were, playing big games, you knew that, we had someone on our side. And Bob was always gracious and cordial, and miss him for sure.
Yeah, and particularly the coach's corner, you really get to know people and their families. What was bizarre was just seeing Gabe grow from this to this to this to height. Just to see your family, just to see him.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. 13 years ago, I think you were our first coach after 9/11 at the coach's corner to talk to us, and life was hard getting back to normal after that. Do you recall that?
I think that was more than 13 years ago.
Right. Wait, not
yes.
23.
Well, that also wound up being one of our all-time epics. Was the Jug game was moved to a Monday night after the right? Do we recall that? In the way that thing went, was that not when Juddy Shiro was playing?
It was a great football game.
Right.
We thought we had that wrapped up at the very end, but we didn't. But it was a tremendous game. I think because it was Monday night too, and there were about 10,000 people at that game.
If somebody sits there in a chair and analyzes the history of the entire Brown Jug, that's got to be in the top handful. That's got to be either silver, bronze, or gold in terms of that rivalry.
It was an exciting night, that's for sure.
Joe,
I remember having.
You're the athletic director now, and you have a new head football coach. Tony Caltori took over last year. Tough year last year, but he had to get his system in place. How are things looking for year 2 coming up for Tony and his staff?
Well, Coach LT, he's a great guy. He has a lot of experience, yet he's young. He's enthusiastic, and he's getting his feet wet. But we have a lot of confidence in him, and he puts the time in. He's the president of the MAC Coaches Association. He has a great relationship with the kids, and he's building. So we're happy to have him.
How much do you miss being on the sidelines?
Oh, a little bit, but you get used to it too. So. But it was exciting to coach in the Penn Ohio game. But I'll go back to watching this, on Friday nights again.
Yeah, again, it was just good to see you out there, and it was good. I know you had to have been happy in the final, whatever it was, 6.5 minutes of just running directly at Ohio and basically sealing the game.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and Coach Rosa was in the broadcast booth. I guess you're aware of that. All he wanted was on those short yardages to give it to his man, number 40.
We gave it to his guy. Yeah, he made all those short yardage first downs.
They were very helpful in your killing the clock.
We heard Rosa from the booth, so we
you had him on your headphones. Very good. Well, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Joe, good to see you.
Appreciate it. Good to see you, Tom, Bruce. Good luck with everything, okay?
Appreciate that.
Thank you, ladies.
You might as well pass it to
give it to Coach Rick Mancini, the judge, since we're talking New Brighton, Beaver Falls. And, Rick, I know you bleed black and orange. You always have. And your hometown to get a beautiful bar and restaurant like the Jus1 Sports Bar and Grill. Nice thing for Beaver Falls to have. And I know as a community guy, you like to see stuff like this happen on the main street in Beaver Falls.
No
it's a
question.
great establishment.
Yeah, but, as I get older and take more medication, I try not to bleed because I can't stop it once it starts. but I appreciate that. But, yeah, it is great. A great night. Obviously, we've been blessed with some good weather, which hasn't always been the case in the recent past few weeks. And
yes,
you guys do a great job, though. I mean, you and Bruce and, of course, Bob, God rest his soul. Nobody promotes our athletes in Beaver County more than you do. And that's so much appreciated. And the thing I like the most about the way you handle broadcasts is you keep things in perspective. Because, sometimes it's easy to get out of control there and invoke your opinion in ways that maybe don't come across real well to the listening audience. But you guys always avoid that. And that's
Well, Bob
that's not
kept us
easy
in
to
line.
do.
Bob was the one that really, Bob was the nicest guy out of all of us. So he would always, rein us in. I'd start getting mad about something, and we'd go to commercial break, and he'd say, "Now, Tom, don't worry about, it's this, it's that." He would always be the calming influence. I didn't want to get fired up about a call maybe I didn't agree with, or a dirty play by a team from outside the area.
Or adding 3 minutes on the clock at
don't start
halftime.
with that.
That used to really set him off after the 20-minute break.
I'll never forget the state title game when Western Beaver was playing Southern Columbia, and they had 6 guys injured in the game, and they're getting pummeled, and Roth, he's out there, they're up by 35 points, and he's throwing a halfback option pass in the fourth quarter trying to score, And I just railed into him. I just said, this is the most ridiculous thing. I went on and on about how unsportsmanlike it was. And Bob gave me a lecture during a commercial break. He goes, "Tom, you might have been a little hard on Roth." I said, "I don't care. He'll never listen to one of our broadcasts." He goes, well.
In today's world, it can happen. And Coach
he would
Coach
nowadays.
Mancini's been in the booth. We've talked before. We've had 3 state champion coaches at this table already. We've got a 4th one sitting here right now, but you're the first judge.
Well, then you better behave. Right?
We'll do our best.
And
Yes.
You know what? And I know why I'm here with 2 baseball guys. Because you realize when I was a sophomore, I went 7 for 7 in one of our ball games. So I assume that's why I'm sitting next to these successful
I didn't know we had
baseball
Rennie
coaches.
Stennett on board.
No question.
No, I was more like Clemente, man. But that was the good old days.
7 for 7. Were the old bunt singles?
No, I hit for the cycle plus.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
With a wooden bat, exactly.
I'm impressed. Now that's impressive.
Well, that was a long, long time ago. So
Now you dabble in the media too. Let's not let you get off the hook so easy. You went to the dark side after you quit coaching. I know you spent some time with Matt Fargo on the pickle and what have you. And I've listened to you, Rick. You've done a great job on the air. And this broadcasting gig, it's a lot easier than coaching, isn't it?
Well, the thing about broadcasting is, especially when you're doing the games on the radio, you can cover your mistakes because people listening to you aren't seeing what's going on the
Right.
field.
If you say number 23 carried the ball and it was number 32,
you can always make up for it. But when you're coaching and you have about 4,000 or 5,000 people watching everything you do, there's nowhere to hide. And it's tough. And even though I learned from experience, when you are coaching, it doesn't matter who said what or did what. As the head coach, you're responsible for what goes on on the field, during the play, after the play. And there's nobody to turn to. There's no one to turn to and say, wait a minute, let me explain how that happened. It doesn't work that way. So it's tough. I mean, I give these guys credit for even now still coaching. And, I feel like I'm with family here because Dwight coached with me for many, many years at Beaver Falls. I coached against Joe when he was in New Brighton. Coach Ole Astro, I told him this a little bit ago, he's always been one of my heroes. I knew him growing up in church in the old Elwood City Christian Assembly, or Italian Christian Assembly back in the old days. And his family and my family have been friends forever. Coach Kelly has kept me out of jail more than once.
Yes.
Larry's a good friend. We've been good friends forever. And Coach Flory is one of my favorite people in the world. I've said many times.
Me too. I second that.
From a Beaver Falls perspective, next to Coach Bruno, he was always the guy. He was always the guy. And, of course, and you talk about things that happened during the game. I'll never forget when Coach Flory took over at Elwood City, and they had a really good team. And as a matter of fact, I think you went to the finals that year,
Three
right?
Rivers.
Yes. And we were decent, but we're playing at Elwood, and they were up by probably 2 touchdowns, maybe a minute left in the game, and I put some young guys in the game. And matter of fact, one of the young guys was Carlos Cleckley, who was a sophomore at the time. And I wanted to run some plays, so I'm calling timeouts. And we're out there on the field, and he looks at me, he says, Rick, enough, okay? Enough. The game's over. Don't do that anymore. Because in effect, he was saying, I'm taking it easy on you because I like you, so quit calling timeout.
Those are good memories, and certainly
good.
you've created a lot for the community, and you've been a very good person both on the field and in the courtroom for this area. And
I appreciate
it's
that.
been great, and people must know him too. Tom, there was an episode where he and I showed up for I think it was a playoff game at this exact same moment. He doesn't have a meet. He just goes in. He doesn't need a badge.
Oh,
he doesn't need identification. He just walks in.
He's got contacts. A lot of juice there.
I learned that when I was growing up in Beaver Falls, man. You just walk in and don't worry about it.
Speaking of, let's keep it with Beaver Falls. Dwight Collins, Rick, we could just hand that over to DC. That'll stretch.
Yeah,
here. There we go. And Dwight Collins arguably could be the greatest athlete to ever come out of Beaver Falls, maybe even Beaver County. Dwight has done so many things scholastically at the high school level, and I think we get caught up in the new age athletes and what have you. But when you think about what Dwight accomplished, DC definitely, you're right there. If they had a Mount Rushmore of greatest athletes in Beaver County, let's say there's 5 heads on Mount Rushmore. I'm putting your mug up there, my friend. Congratulations on all of your success, and it's always great to see you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Dwight, again, you're always going to go down in a lot of people's minds as a brilliant wide receiver at Pittsburgh and an NFL player in football, which you clearly were. But there is, as Tom mentioned, that's just one side of the coin. You were also, I think it was just in 2022, you were inducted into the Pittsburgh Basketball Hall of Fame, remember, up at Char Valley.
Correct.
And then, the state record holder in the 400 meters to this day is a guy named Clinton Davis out of Steel Valley High School, who lost a grand total of 1 race in his entire scholastic career. Dwight took him down in the 200 when Dwight was a senior in track. So you've had a distinguished career. We're proud to have you tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. And I have to say, a lot of my success comes from this man sitting next to me, Coach Flory, Larry. These 2 gentlemen I'm not sure of, but I've had a lot of dealings with those guys, and they've helped me out a long way, especially with Coach Bruno, without no question.
Dwight, I know you've been helping out Carlos Jeter on the hoop squad the last several years. Are you going to stay on board with Ramon and help out?
Yes.
Good.
He just
Good to
asked
see you
me
still involved.
about a week ago, and I told him sure.
Good.
Yeah, that's good, Dwight. Because it's just like we talked with Tommy Campbell about former athletes are looked up in the community, and you certainly fit that bill at Beaver Falls.
Well, it's a little harder than what it used to be. But, I look forward to everything that we do. That's why I'm late today. We had a passing scrimmage this evening, and I left a little early, so just to come down.
What will life be like without number 11 at quarterback?
It's going to be tough. We're struggling right now to find a quarterback. We got 3 guys, and they're just going through the progressions right now. I mean, we're in short, so we don't really put a lot of emphasis on a lot of things. We got to read better. We got a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do.
Dwight, thanks for coming down. It's always good to see you. It seems like we've been covering you for 50 years.
Long time.
We go back
40,
a long time.
It's getting there.
A long time.
He was Ed Yurge's first student.
You were Eddie's first student.
That's right. I taught him how to shave.
He didn't learn very well.
I didn't learn real well, did I?
No, Dwight, you've done it all, and again, you're a modest guy. Also, do your current athletes, do they have any comprehension of what you have accomplished in your time?
I try not to talk about it much, but
Good.
they do. They do. They give me the utmost respect. That's why I'm still able to do it to this day. And we have a good time. I have a bunch of good kids. And
It's still devastating that they had to play that game with Florida State in that rainstorm in 1980. Were the Panthers not the best team in the country in 1980?
Well, we were until that game.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't
but
play.
that's
We
just
didn't
not
show
a
up.
true measure. That's
Yeah,
my
we
whole
didn't show
point.
up that
When
game.
they showed that TV picture of the referee putting the ball down in water and the ball floated away at the line of scrimmage,
Yeah.
that's when you knew that something shaky was going on, and you yourself and your rest of your speed guys didn't get a chance to do much.
Well, they played on the same field we did.
I know.
And by
That's
the
a
way,
good-
I had
it's
a
good
pretty-
to point
I had
that
a
out.
pretty good game that game. I had about
Right.
7 for about 180, a couple touchdowns. So
You were in the game.
I
That's-
did
yeah.
pretty good. I did pretty good.
You did all right.
We're proud of you for that, but it's just tough to have it all evaporate. You know, that team wound up having how many first-round draft picks?
23.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the whole team got drafted in the spring of '81,
23.
basically.
Yes, 23 seniors got drafted that
Right,
year.
it's just mind-boggling to look back on, and it's just a crying shame there was no college playoff back then.
Oh yeah, that would have.
You know what your man Dan said. We could beat Notre Dame at noon and Georgia at 4. Remember that? He said that.
yes.
He said that how many times
we wish
in the
there
year
was.
since?
I look back on when we were in high school.
Right.
We were in the MAC conference.
Yes.
There was only one team going, and we went 9-1.
And the
we didn't make
one
playoffs.
shoots you in the foot.
We didn't make the playoffs back
Yeah,
then, so it's
a
a,
crying
big difference
shame.
between having 4 and 5 going and 1.
Yeah,
So-
that's correct. But Dwight, you bring up good points. As always, it's good to chat with you.
Bruce, it's my pleasure.
Good to
Tom,
see
my
you,
pleasure.
DC.
Good seeing
Good
you
luck.
guys. All right.
Bruce, it's not often. Matter of fact, I don't think it's ever happened that we got a chance to interview a head coach who has 5 state titles in the game of baseball.
Or
And
5
Dan,
state titles in the game of anything.
Unbelievable. Dan, congratulations on another phenomenal season. And I know they're all special. You never want to single out one team over another, but to go 25-0 and not lose a game, that just will stand the test of time. To go undefeated in baseball of all sports, that's pretty tough to do. Have you had time to reflect on that and how much that means to you and the kids?
Well, it means a lot. It's pretty amazing. You don't really expect to do that. But we had a great team. I have good coaches helping me. You know, as the season goes on and you're still undefeated, you know, you've got that mark on your back.
Yeah.
And everybody's gunning for you. And this was a group that they didn't blink. They just didn't blink. I mean, we never saw any bad plays because of pressure. They just continued to do everything they were supposed to do, and they did it well. This was just a great group of kids, great families, and we're just real proud for the Riverside community that we were able to accomplish something like that. It's not easy. It's a big grind. I think Coach Kelly could tell you it's a grind. It's exhausting. It's more difficult actually as a coach than it is probably sometimes for the players, you know, because they're on the field, but they're an extension of you, and you just hope that they do everything they're supposed to do. This was just a great group.
Dan, the situation is, you know, you're undefeated state champs. That sounds great now, and when you look back on it, that sounds great. But there were several times when you were behind in the 6th inning. And how did you hold things together, you know, when things weren't really clicking for you on all cylinders?
It was all coaching. This was just a team. I think the 3rd time we batted. Our kids were able to make adjustments, and there were times when the top 4 didn't hit, and the guys at the end of the batting order hit. It was just a good group that if somebody was down, somebody else picked them up, and that happened time after time. There were probably 4 games we could easily have lost. The Tyrone game was a game we could easily have lost.
Yes, first round of the states.
First
Yes.
round. That was the game that, you know, can give coaches nightmares, especially a Whippeal team. I've seen so many Whippeal teams come off a high after winning the Whippeal and then play some team from nowhere and end up getting beat 2-1. because they didn't make the adjustment. They've gone through the grind of the whip-eel's a grind, and the whip-eel is probably the biggest grind of any district in the state, and it's easy for that to happen. Once we got past that game, I felt like we were a lot better off.
Yeah, no question. And briefly, obviously it's well documented. You're in your late 70s. You've been around 50-some years. And obviously that says it all. We don't have to elaborate on that. But the future seems so bright for you. Your 10th grader, Christian Lucarelli, I mean, he is throwing fireballs and he's mixing speeds.
Yeah, and
you got to be pleased to have him back.
He hasn't reached his peak yet either. He's still learning how to pitch. This kid is into it big time. He spends a lot of time getting ready for a game. He's starting to really know how to pitch, what pitches to throw, where to throw them, and he's just getting better every time out. So that's exciting.
Plus, he'll never have to face Rick Mancini, so he'll have a bright career.
Yeah, Rick didn't tell us what age group that was. I was thinking here that was maybe T-ball.
That was Coach's pitch.
Well, you
His
were around.
dad was grooming him.
He's high school. He's high school class of '72. You were right over the bridge at Riverside. Did you ever see him play?
We played Riverside.
Yeah, he played shortstop.
Right. But I don't think we played.
Absolutely, we played you. Yep, you were shortstop. Am I right?
Yes.
Yep.
There you go.
I don't remember 7 for 7 though.
It wasn't against Riverside.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay.
It came from down in Moultrie.
Yeah, Coach wouldn't stand for that.
No, but
after 5 for 5, you'd have got hit in the back.
One thing I liked that Dwight said, he could have made an excuse about that Florida game.
Right, Florida State.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, right.
He turned that right around. Now, if we can teach kids to do that,
Yeah.
they make a mistake, they want to make an excuse. He didn't make an excuse. He came right back and said, "We played on the same field." I love that. You can tell he's coaching material.
Dan, congratulations on all of your success. What a remarkable career, and I don't know. I wonder if you've inspired any of these old coaches to come out of retirement and take a job. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out after we leave here. Carl, you ready to get back on the sidelines, buddy?
I told some of these guys they've got still something left. So.
Dan, thanks so much.
We truly appreciate it, and you certainly set the bar in this county or in this area for any sport. And your longevity, and it's not the fact that you've been there a while, it's what have you done for me lately, they ask. Well, you've done a lot for us lately, and we appreciate your help in handing us lineup cards well before the game.
Well, God's been good. Thank you.
Larry Kelly, we allow Lawrence County guys to dip down into the Beaver County now and then, and you're one of our guys that we let cross the border. So good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming down, and tell us a little bit about what you've been up to this summer.
Well, listen, thank you for inviting me, Dom, but did you have to put me in between two legends? The guy to my right has about 600 wins. The guy to my left has about 500, and I got 50. So I'm wondering what I'm doing here, but it is an honor to be here. These are all my friends. I have so much respect for Coach Flory, who I've known for 50 years, and Coach Oleastro. All of my daughters went to Riverside High School, so I've been a big fan of Coach Oleastro and his program forever and ever. What they do at Riverside is special. I had coached 5 years at Westminster College before I took the head job at Chenango, and I always said about the young men who played under Coach Oleastro and came to Westminster, they were baseball players, and that's the highest compliment that you can give to a kid that plays that game. They knew how to run the bases. They never made mental mistakes. They could get a bunt down if you had to get it down, and that's the key to success in baseball. I say all the time, the difference between special, which is what he had this year and a couple years ago, what I had at Chenango, and a good season is this. And I'm holding my fingers about a quarter of an inch apart. And, you have to be mentally tough. It's a game of mental toughness and laser focus. And the one thing that I could say about his team, because we played him twice and I followed him through the playoffs, is that they were mentally tough and laser focused. You're right. They could have lost a couple games down the stretch. They were resilient. And I like to say that when the pressure gets so high that you can't spit, you find out what kind of players you have.
Yeah.
And he had great ones at Riverside, and they always have been well coached. Himself, Coach Marnicio, who taught my daughters math at Riverside, and of course Danny Brown, who I've known since he was a little kid. So, it's a real pleasure and an honor to be here. I don't have to talk about my dear friend Rick Mancini. He's like you said, he just walks in and everybody knows who he is.
Yes,
In fact,
no
you
doubt.
don't even have to say Rick Mancini. You just say Rick, and they know who you're talking
That's
about.
enough.
The judge.
He was a great lawyer. He's a better judge. He's the president judge and probably my closest friend in the legal profession forever and ever. So thank you for having me down here. I don't know that I belong.
Oh, you
but
won
thank
with
you.
Shenango. That's good. How about a capsule summary of that season for us?
Well, again, we had a very good season. We finished second to these guys, Riverside, and we were probably 3 or 4 plays from literally sharing the section championship with these guys. But the difference between a good season, which is what we had, and a special season, which is what we had a couple years ago, is this much. And again, I'm holding my fingers an inch apart. So, it's all about the players. I've been blessed to have great players at Shenango, many of whom are going on to continue their playing career at the collegiate level. And I don't care what level you play college sports. I don't care if it's D3, D2, or D1. I read somewhere only 7% of all high school athletes can play at the next level. And, I had 2 or 3, 4 guys this year who are going to play at the next level. And, when we won our Whitfield championship, it was the same thing. Special players who were special in the biggest moments.
All right, Larry, thanks so much. We're going to turn it over to the real legend here, Carl Flory. And, Carl, we talk about class. I think of you right away, my friend. You've been such a good friend to the radio station for so many years, and anytime we have something like this, health-wise, God willing, you're here, and I'm so glad that you're here again, buddy. Good to see you, and how you been feeling?
Well, Tom, I'm feeling pretty good.
Good.
And sitting here this evening with you and Mr. Brad here, I was thinking back of the good times we've had over the years. You guys have been special people. I think Rick said it earlier, that what you do for Beaver County sports is number one in the minds of a lot of people. So keep it up, fellas. Rick Mancini, if you said it, it's true. If you went 7 for 7, I believe you.
I'll guarantee it. Very good.
You know what? I started out as a junior high coach in Beaver Falls, and I was so impressed with the young end. He must have been at that time 14 years old, probably weighed 135, 140 pounds. And I always thought that we could judge the character of our players if we put them into a situation, into the one-on-ones, the old Oklahomas. Not that you do this every day or every week, but if you just do it once and you see what they're made of, you'll find out that that's the individual you can coach and you could win with. And he was lining up with a guy 50 pounds heavier, a good player. And he got knocked down, but you know what? He got back up. And I've loved him since then. He's been one of my closest friends, and I'm so proud of his accomplishments as a judge, as a coach, but more important, as a friend. And Rick, I love you. You've been that good. It's just the way it's going. Joe, I watched you go as a youngster. I don't think I ever coached against you, but I did coach against you as a player. And you were competitive, like a lot of those Brighton kids, and it was enjoyable. Over here, Larry Kelly, our families are so close. In fact, my mother and father baptized his wife, Marissa's brother, Elliot. And families were close. Many Sunday dinners together. I remember this honorable attorney more so as a young writer for the Newcastle News. And I was getting blasted by some individual. I can't even remember. Do you remember what it was?
It was a Pittsburgh
Post-Gazette.
Who I said had about as much class as a $5.
Yeah. We were both undefeated, us and Shenango. And I think we ended up beating them 42-0. And in the second half, our kids came out a little bit sloppy. And I'm worried. I don't have that many kids. And I got on the quarterback pretty good. Got on him, and then the reporter from the Post-Gazette, or whatever it was, who covered the game. It was the game of the week. Kind of ripped into me, and I think he called me the Bushliger of the Year or whatever it was. But you know what? Young Larry, he took his pen out, and he probably wrote the nicest column I've ever had. But over here is an old friend. And you know what? We can say that together, because even though he's been coaching for 57 years, 56 years, I'm older than him. When I went to Riverside, Dan was the guidance counselor and baseball coach. That was in 1973. My relation with Dan was, other than having a lot of respect for him as a coach and as a person, was how good he was to me. Over the years, I was lucky. I had a lot of kids that I've sent on to college, a lot of Division I kids, and you know, guys know, Rick, you know what it's like. When those guys come in, they want a transcript. You know, give me, and you know what? I'd get on the phone or go on down to his office. Rick, Chris Vagotis from Miami was in. He needs a transcript on Ungum. Never said no, never says, Carl, I'm busy. He says, give me 15 minutes, and next thing you know, he'd be up in my office with it. He was always that cooperative. And believe me, I watched this guy coach. I watched him, again, you know, I can say that when I got started in the coaching, I had an illustrious start. I went 0-15. And boy, I mean, did we get it taken to us. But we never gave up. We never quit. We had that attitude. And I told this story yesterday. They did a video on me over at the Bruno Hall of Fame. That after we had given up about 200 points in the first 3 or 4 games, and that's no exaggeration. Larry came over to over to Riverside. He drove over, and he said, what he said was, "You want to come home?" And I looked him in the eye, and I said, "No, Coach." I said, "I'm going to whip this thing," and I think he liked that. But I had a great respect for Danny. Ray Santillo, my good friend Ray Santillo. I'm a little bit handicapped right now, is that I don't drive anymore because of neuropathy in my feet. And Ray takes me everywhere and anywhere I want to go. And we followed the Riverside Panthers, and I want to tell you something. I was just as excited over watching them play baseball, which really doesn't have the drama of a football game every play. But watching them play, the ease that they played with, the fundamentals that they had, and a never quit attitude. The sixth inning meant now's our time. We're not behind in this game. It belongs to us, and they came through. Thanks, Ray, for taking me all there through the games. And Danny, thanks for the memories. You've been a great man.
Right.
If people knew what a good man you are.
Carl,
it's great to see you step out of the van at Slippery Rock watching the game. Yeah. You had a banner year between Cassie Potts playing for Blackhawk and watching Coach Dan. Yes. You were at quite a few games.
Yeah, Cassie gave me a lot of exciting moments. She really did. And she's up at Edinburgh now. They're at a camp, putting on a camp for young people.
Yeah.
And it seems like she likes it and is going to make an adjustment. But you guys were good to her too. I appreciate that. Thanks
Larry,
a lot.
We'll see you at Bruce will see you at the Legends Coaches Corner this fall.
I understand you're going to reorganize.
Well, Bruce will be there. I'm
We're
retired.
We're gonna do our
Well,
best.
listen.
We're gonna do our best.
Maybe you can make an appearance.
I'll come down as a special guest.
Yeah, he's
Yes,
a legend
do that.
also.
All right, thanks, Carl.
Thanks a lot.
All right, we're going to take another timeout. We got 2 more groups to get through. We'll be back after this break on Beaver County Radio.
Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in Beaver Falls.
After any big game, people will be talking. This is Ellen Bross from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. The same is true when you get your new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers will notice the new winning style reflected in the car, truck, or SUV you just got from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Located on University Boulevard, across from Robert Morris. Click and save at moonford.com and discover what the talk is all about. Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
The Larry Bruno Foundation 12th Annual Circle of Achievement Banquet will be held on Saturday, July 29th at Shadow Lakes Country Club. There will be 9 inductees this year. Included is the Livingston Scholarship, presented to a CCBC student in law enforcement, and the Tronzo Family Scholarship for a dedicated person who helps others in our communities. The Larry Bruno Foundation consists of members in local sports, artists, music, and business communities. The Circle of Achievement Banquet is July 29th. Call 412-298-1430 to purchase tickets.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Did you know that if you have the ability to listen to the radio, you have the ability to dig a ditch? It's true. By renting the right equipment from D&G Rentals in Beaver Falls, you can turn big projects into simple ones. So if you can master your cell phone, you can probably build a new patio or pour a new sidewalk. You already have the know-how, you just don't have the right tools. And that's where D&G Rentals comes in. Visit dgrent.com. So remember, if you can change the channel, you can probably change a transmission with a little help from D&G Rentals.
Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Beaver Falls is the place to be every day of the week. Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill has daily lunch and drink specials, wing specials on Mondays and Thursdays, Taco Tuesday deals, calzones on Wednesdays, and fish on Fridays. Jus1More has creative cocktails and a large draft beer selection on tap. Jus1More has a Monday through Friday happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. If you're looking for delicious food and daily deals, you need to stop in at Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill in Beaver Falls.
Beaver County Radio is your source for local news in Beaver County and surrounding areas. Tune in weekdays starting at 6:30 a.m. for news reports at the top and bottom of each hour with Curtis Walsh. Eddie Crow has afternoon news at the bottom of each hour, and news correspondents Sandy Giordano and Matt Durzik have reports from local school board and municipal meetings. You can also follow Beaver County Radio on our website at beavercountyradio.com and our Facebook page for breaking news as it happens. With all that coverage, you don't need to go anywhere else but Beaver County Radio News and beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show here on Beaver County Radio. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by the Larry Bruno Foundation, Carver Construction, D&G Rentals, Falcone's Moon Township 4, Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, and the Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill. Now let's return to Jus1More Sports Bar and Grill for more action from tonight's show.
Lined up. Final group lined up here at the Coach's Corner Reunion Show. Thanks for everyone who's been a part of it so far. I'm Tom Hays along with Bruce Frey, where we've tried to keep up with all of our guests. Bruce, it's been a long night, but a lot of fun, and we appreciate all of you coming down. Joe, you're seated. We checked with Joe earlier. He's here at the main table. And Joe, just fill us in on what you've been doing now. I know you're looking forward to Geneva College, calling games with Mr. Frey. That's going to be interesting. Are you looking forward to it?
It will be interesting, especially with Bruce Frey. Since I've gotten out of being the AD, Joe Greco was kind enough to let me sell tickets at the football games, the volleyball games, and believe it or not, I went back to substitute teaching. And with this new fancy thing called Schoology, I recommend all of you to do it because it's not hard. Other than that, that's about it.
Well, it's great to have you here, and certainly it'll be a good season ahead for Geneva College football. We look forward to it. We talked to Coach DeMarco earlier. He's into it. He's ready to go, and I'm sure you'll enjoy your time in the booth.
I feel honored at the fact I can go back to my alma mater. And
did you ever teach Frank Sparks in business math?
I had Frank, yes.
Did he flunk?
No.
He
Frank
passed.
was probably one of the top students I had.
Oh, he probably paid you. Come on.
Yeah. So I taught business math, and he needed that half credit to graduate. And what he said to me was, Mr. Yu, you know what the magic number is? 140. 70 and 70. Those are the two lowest D's. And after the first 9 weeks, he got a 75, and he was all fired up because all he needed was a 65.
All right, Bruce, we'll move along.
Yeah, Richie Ellsbury's out to chat with us, a longtime official. And Richie, you are retired. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You've certainly. What were some of your memorable experiences wearing the stripes?
Well, I remember throwing some of these coaches out of the game, but we won't talk about that. Probably the best thing I had about refereeing was the relationships that I made.
Yeah.
Gene, Frank, Dan, Don. We that's the biggest thing about refereeing that's I think is missed today is the relationships that you make going down the road. Bruce, you and I have been friends for, I don't know how many years.
Amen.
Seeing you, Eddie over there, I remember when his daughter was born. Okay? Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, Gene and I were just talking about some things that we did, but I can't tell you about that on the air. And this year, about 5 years ago, I went over to the dark side. I'm coaching now at Riverview High School. I'm the 9th grade coach, and it's a good experience for me. I really like it.
Very good. It certainly keeps you involved, no doubt.
Yes, it does.
Okay, moving along, and we got Dan Robinson. Dan,
Dan's here. We've got to go to
Eddie, you gave me the wrong information.
Yeah, we got to go to Larry first. Yeah. No, Larry's up. Or
all right, let's go. All right, Larry Matrazzo. I'm sorry, Larry. Too many guys to talk to tonight. Larry, a long-time New Brighton coach, and you think about the things that you've done through Beaver County sports, and you look at all these guys tonight. What's it mean to get together at something like this?
Well, the thing that sticks out in my mind tonight is that no matter where I look, I either see somebody who I coached, somebody who I coached with, coached against, So I just played with. Joe Hamilton's going to be one coming up on the dais, and I played ball with him in Geneva. Jimmy Ebersberger he was a little bit older than me, and he was gone. But then I wound up coaching against him when he coached at Rochester. But it's it's just the situation where it's nice to see all these friends.
What was it like to be a teammate of Joe Hamilton in football at Geneva? Is that in the days when players played offense and defense both?
Yeah, it sure was. Joe was a senior when I was a freshman, and I would venture to say we had 7, maybe 8 guys that went both ways, and people find it hard to believe, but in my 4 years at Geneva, I only made the all-conference team one time, and they don't believe this, but I made it as a defensive back, because in the 4 years that I played, Waynesburg was in our conference, and they had a kid named Harry Theophilides. He was from Homestead, and he later played with the Washington Redskins, and I couldn't beat him out. So
it's all good, and certainly it's good to see the people from Geneva stay active in this community right here. People like you and Joe are good advertisements for the GTs.
Thank you.
All right, we'll turn it over to Jim Eversberger. Jim, longtime athletic director at Rochester, and Jim's one of these guys that most people know you by your nickname, Gumby. Tell us, how'd you get that nickname, and what does it mean?
Well, my mother's maiden name was Gonzala, so she was Gumpy, and it just went down to me being Gumpy.
Okay.
I become Young Gumpy, and my uncle was also called Gumpy.
Well, good family nickname.
Yeah.
I always wanted to ask you that, and I never got around to it till tonight. So you look at the success that – let's talk a little bit about Rochester football. What happened after you left through the Matshook family, what they have done and the impact that they have had on high school football, not only in Beaver County, but ending up, going to the states and winning several state titles. What did that mean to the Rochester community?
It meant an awful lot. I mean, I was athletic director for a lot of those games, and I think it's very unfair when you go there. You got to play against Southern Columbia, which does nothing but recruit year in, year out, and you see they're in the championship almost every year. But they brought a lot of pride to Rochester, the Matshook brothers, and it was enjoyable having them there.
Right. Rachi got good. As we all know, the state football playoffs began in 1988, and a little bit after that's when Rachi began his push. You would still have to think, and even though that teams like Southern Columbia are out there, you would still have to think it's a positive experience to have state football playoffs.
It is a positive experience. It is, but when I coached, you had to win the championship in order to even get into the playoffs.
Yes.
Okay, and
Dwight just talked about that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole new world now. But in Rachi was very competitive. Even this fall, they played valiantly. It took a late touchdown for Union to defeat them by 2 points, and Union wound up winning the WPIAL.
Mm-hmm. The Matsooks did a good job. Gene is doing a very good job there, and I wish him nothing but success and keep going. Every year I hear he's quitting, but he never quits. He's still there.
Well, I think Gene looks at that team as his sons. He doesn't have any children, but he just really. I talk to him. Same thing every year. Like, I don't know, man. We just go one more. Just go one more. I guess that's the best way to look at it. Just you'll know when you know, I guess, is the right way to put it, unless someone tells you otherwise. And with his resume, I don't think that'll happen. I think he's there until he decides to leave.
Well, I was there for 48 years, so.
Yeah.
I was there 40 as a regular teacher, and the last 8 as AD. So I knew when it was time to quit, but I enjoyed doing what I was doing. I feel blessed in that the athletes that we had and so forth. And thank you very much.
So it's been our pleasure.
Well, Gumby, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, you
now we
represented.
got Dan Robinson. Dan, I got it right now, right? I'm looking at my eyes are getting crisscrossed here as the night goes on my list. Dan, thanks for coming down and talk a little bit about your experiences as an official and with some of the guys that you've worked with. We've been blessed. I said earlier how lucky we are to have so many fine officials in Western Pennsylvania that we get spoiled, I think. And you guys deserve an awful lot of credit because these games can't be played without the job that you all do.
Yes, it's not about us. It's about the passion for the game. It's about help developing the kids. Certainly, we have seen some outstanding talent. Fortunately, I am still able to referee, come up in the Beaver County area and referee a lot of the competitive game up here. On a Friday night, it can be very, very competitive. Fans are very involved into the game. So it is still a passion for me, working with, again, with Rich, who has a lot more experience than I do and has taught me a lot. Greg Smith here, you will talk to him next. He also have had a lot of experience and taught me the philosophy of the game. But it is seeing the kids develop. It is as Rich mentioned, it is the relationship you build along the way, like Eddie and the two territory gentlemen here. Work with them early on. So, it's a relationship and seeing folk over again, and it's a camaraderie that comes from all that.
When you're listed as a District 7 official, how is it determined where you are sent on a Tuesday or a Friday? Because it seems like we see a lot of you. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's just good to see you around.
Yes, there's two districts, District 7 and District 8, and certainly we work interchangeably in both of those districts, okay? Usually there's an assigner, and it could be a chapter assigner or an independent assigner who will assign your game, who knows your skill sets, and able to call you to add you to their group, and you work games as you assign games. Okay, so it's a system. May not be a perfect system, but it's a system that we got, and it seemed to work.
Greg Smith, you have a beautiful Princeton Tigers hat on. What's the significance of that?
Well, everybody in my family was dumb, except for my grandson, who's going to Princeton as we speak.
He's there now?
Yeah.
Congratulations. That says an awful lot.
Yeah, and again, for the record, Smitty is from Rankin, PA, where he affectionately got the term the hammer for his ability to hit a softball. So he has been, it was great to see him get out of the spikes and into the officiating profession. Greg, how did you become an official, and how's that worked for you?
I was I thought I was a basketball coach at the time, and I was doing some camps for Ron Galbraith, one of my favorite people on earth. And
true gentleman.
I started meeting a few of the coaches, and they gave me a chance to come down and referee, and it was beautiful. Two quick stories, if I can. I hope Bill Leachman is still around. Some of us aren't still around anymore. And Donahue, I think his name is Steve Donahue, the guy that used to be with the Steelers. Well,
yes.
West Allegheny and Hope was playing a very spirited game, very spirited. And all of a sudden, the clock went off, but the ball kept bouncing around. Clock went off, but the ball kept bouncing around. Leachman went berserk and threw a left-right, just missing the girl. Donahue jumped in. Then we had a hockey game break out. The other memory I have real quickly is that, where's Larry at? Petrazzo?
He's right here.
Larry, you played quarterback for Braddock High School. I want you to know I booed you.
What?
No, I'm lying. Larry should be very proud of Braddock because they did a great job. General Braddock, not so much, because I don't think we beat any team from Beaver area. Not Beaver, not Blackhawk, not Freedom, you name them, and we lost them. And I really want to say thank you. The Stair Tour guys got us involved in college basketball. We appreciate that. And the last thing, I know I'm talking too much, the last thing is Coach Yorick brought some African guys up to referee some of his games, and it showed a lot of merit on him because there was a lot of pressure back in those days. But he didn't care about it. He rolled us out there, and the rest is history.
Thanks
right,
so
Greg.
much. Greg Smith, a longtime official. We're glad to have him with us tonight.
Well, you know, the word legend sometimes is overused, but not in this case. Joe Hamilton, on a night where we have a lot of memories of our friend Bob Barrickman, I can tell you about the several conversations that Bob had about you. And Bob admires you so much as I do. And Bruce as well. And we always want to thank you for you treated us like professionals. No matter what game we were at, you always gave us the time. You treated us like you knew we had a job to do. You treated us fairly when maybe you didn't want to be bothered. But, you know, for a couple of young guys starting out in the business, we'll never forget how gracious you were to us. And believe me, Bob appreciates that as much as I did, and Bruce as well. Joe, it's good to see you as well. Welcome aboard. How are things going for you?
Well, thank you. I don't know if that's be good because, you know, I did things that I didn't do, but I did do it, not knowing it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but one of that, when I went to Geneva College, played 4 years, and on that part, you know, I get a garment, go to Beaver, and one day he said, "What do you want to be?" I want to be a head coach, and that's what I'm going to work. I'm going to work hard and change schools if I had to, and everything else to do that. You found out to myself that when you go, treat people, kids, good. You know, if you go down this play, you know what you're saying just about what it is, because I try to treat every kid, every other coach and officials. And so I hated to see that hurt somebody, and I want to make a man on the field, and he makes it in life. I have so many night dates, and I run into him, and he can back out, and here we go, and he says, "Coach, they come running right to you," and now that's why I went to this football, and I tell you, I'm just, you know. I tell you that I can't ever drop it, you know, and I just going to the bomb walking, going to games and everything else, and I'll be able to have to kill me for something like that. And,
Well, Joe, we're glad to have you here tonight. You know, I think you're still number 3 on the WPIL coaching wins list all time, which is very commendable. In another part of your legacy that can't be forgotten, we just saw it 2 weeks ago in Salem, Ohio, is the way you created or helped create the State Line Classic between Pennsylvania and Ohio. We were proud to have you as our guest that night, but that is certainly going to be part of your legacy. All those games, 43 or 44, now they're arguing now, 43 of those games and all the scholarship money that it generated. So you're to be commended for that as well.
Thank you.
Joe, good to see you. Hopefully good health for you coming up, and we'll see you in the fall as well. At least Bruce will at the Legends Coaches Show down at Roberts Roadside during football season. We got 2 more guys. We're going to start Frank Sterator. Frank, now correct me if I'm wrong, but you will now be an NFL official this fall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about the process of what you had to do to get hired by the NFL as an official.
Well, you know, I go back to my roots of officiating when my uncle, I would be, as a young kid, would watch my uncle officiate football and basketball in the Big East.
Now you're talking about Gene?
My Gene's dad.
Okay.
So my uncle, which was Gene's dad, started us all up in officiating. And, you know, as a young kid, I would watch him officiate on TV on Big Monday back in the day on the Big East Network. And and so forth. So, you know, I started working basketball first when I got out of college, and then I started officiating football. And, you know, I was fortunate to have my cousins, Gene and Tony, about, 10 to 20, 15 years in front of me. So I would always watch them, and it was sort of like a little bit of a family tradition that I was fortunate to be involved with. And, I worked high school football around here, and was brought on to Division II and III for, a number of years. And then I got a break to work the Colonial Ivy Patriot League back in 2006, and that's when Smitty mentioned Princeton. I remember working football games at Princeton campus, and it was a great experience to work that level. And at this whole time you're just officiating, and you're going along, and it's probably much like coaching in a way, and is that years start to go by, and you're like, I can't even believe I'm where I'm at this point. So I ended up being hired into the Mid-American Conference and then into the Big Ten, where I spent 13 years there. In the last 4 or 5 years, I was working in the officiating development program for the NFL, which we would, attend some training camps and some summer, mostly it was summer training, and was fortunate that there's some professional leagues like the XFL and USFL that have come on recently, and that gave me some additional training and probably an opportunity for working at the level I just got hired at.
So from here, then do you have a preseason camp? Because I'm pretty sure the regular NFL refs do the preseason games. Is there like an orientation or development school for you now that you're in the NFL?
Yeah, so we do have an officiating clinic coming up, which will be for a weekend. And then after that, we will attend, preseason camps and work, 3 preseason football games. I still yet, we don't know the complete schedule of that side of it yet, but yeah, that would be what my August would look like, and a lot of prep work and a lot of rule study and film review, and working with veteran officials on my crew that that can help me along in my first year.
So when you work an NFL game on Sunday, do you get we've talked to a number of evaluators tonight. How does an NFL ref get evaluated?
Well, I have never worked a true NFL game yet, but from what I understand is that there are our games do get evaluated from the office. And, you would be, pretty much graded on every play, whether you have a flag or not, because you're making decisions on those plays. And there's a lot of philosophies and mechanics that go into, every play itself. So that would be mostly where you would get most of the feedback from that type of an evaluation. And then in addition to that, there will be individual position breakdowns from your trainer or your position coach at that point that specifies more in your position, and weekly training films and so forth like that. We do get an opportunity to view.
Frank, we look forward to you calling games in the fall, and hopefully some guy on television isn't up there critiquing your calls. We'll talk to Gene right now about that. Gene,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Gene Steratore, retired NFL official who does some television work a little bit here and there. Gene, what's funny is we got to know each other at the Black Hawk Christmas tournament as a basketball referee, and lo and behold, you make it to the NFL, and congratulations, you made all of us down in Western Pennsylvania proud, and that had to be a tremendous opportunity when you decided to retire as an NFL ref to do what you do on television. One of very few guys to be able to, help the listeners or the viewers, if you will, understand the calls that are made on the field. Are you enjoying that position?
Yeah, you know what, I really am, Tom. It's hard to believe that my 5th year now.
Wow.
On the TV side is about to begin. So, as we all know, the years go really, really fast, and we do our best to make the days go slow now. And I'm finding that out rather quickly at this point.
Did you hire a private plane for you and Coach Cower to go to New York, or you just go commercial?
I don't get to fly private yet. Coach still gets the private flights, and I'm still standing in the in the long line yet. But I have TSA though. I get through.
Oh, there you go. That helps out.
A little bit of a bump there,
yeah,
though.
No doubt of that.
That makes it worthwhile.
No doubt of that. But for that, because you are on national TV, are you recognized in airports? Do people point and say offsides, or like there's always wise guys in the airport? Frank talks about Big East Monday night basketball. Yeah. I'm a graduate of what is called the Bill Raftery School of Broadcasting. Yeah. Bill can't go anywhere without getting pointed out. So I just wondered how that was for you.
As the advent of social media and more exposure, and back in the day when Frank was alluding to, when my father was working, my dad was in the Eastern 8.
Yes,
in basketball.
That goes way back.
And then it became the Atlantic 10 when the Big East was formed, and he was part of that first 40-person staff that was hired in the Big East. But there weren't that many games on, not like now. Right. With social media and with the advent of all of this other exposure, you get looked at a little. I know when I was reffing, you'd get looked at in the airport like, I don't know why I know you or why you look familiar. Did you teach me like third grade math or something? You get that look, But the compliment with officials is that you're not recognized.
Yes.
But with the television thing, with the exposure, with the good fortune of being with someone like CBS, that exposure in itself starts to present some of those situations, but not nearly. When you're with Raph, when you're with Jim Nance, when you're with Tony Romo, it's very easy to disappear off to the side, which is comforting to me. Yeah.
Well, that's the way you want it as an official or ex-official. Right. You want to be anonymous as much as you can, but when you look at what happened at ESPN with all of these cutbacks and with all of the things going on there, you have to feel fortunate that you're with CBS and still gainfully employed doing what you do, and the travel. I'm sure that how often do you ever have to go to a place you really don't want to go? Is there any place, Gene, that you just don't feel welcome at? Is what I guess I'm trying to say. Because
I'm sure there's a few places that maybe it might be a little harder for me to, to show up at Dallas Stadium after a Des Bryant catch situation, or, there's always those places where, it's a little more difficult maybe to be present at, but.
People have
Newcastle is real similar to that. That's listen, the truth of it is, and I commend you guys. I know it's been a really long day and evening, and in the event that was put on, and Eddie's daughter and the whole group here, to put something like this together, this is what I will say humbly. Some of us were fortunate to see a lot of the corners of the country and the globe, and something that we love to do. And success doesn't just come because you were some unicorn. It came because of these men and women from our area. Mm-hmm. When I came up officiating, and I look at the personalities that were coaching then, and then you elevate to the stage that we got fortunate enough to be on, and people would say, boy, how do you deal with this coach? He's so intense. And, you kind of chuckle underneath your breath a little bit and think you have no idea what it's like to have John Miller standing at half court when you're 23 years old over a play you missed, And so it's these men and women that preceded us, that helped raise us, that mentored us, and truthfully, challenged us to be really, really good. And I think the field of officials in this area is second to none in the country. And that's the truth. And I have traveled this country for 3 decades in officiating in both sports, basketball and football. When you say you're from the Pittsburgh area, you get immediate respect. And it is because the teams were so good. It is because the coaches were so good. And we were brought up that way. We thought that was normal. And it wasn't normal. Yeah. It just was a different level. And to see people. I saw Dwight Collins tonight here when I just got in after a pretty long drive, and it's the first time I've seen him for almost 40 years.
Wow.
You know,
Right.
but
Gene,
I,
you
know,
went to Uniontown High School.
I was at Laurel Highlands.
Yeah, so,
I was in
Laurel
Uniontown.
Highlands?
Yep, but
okay, yeah. So
in the
you
early
definitely
80s.
made quite the hike. So,
Yes.
so we appreciate that. Real quickly, since we're at Jus1More Bar, how about a capsule summary of your relationship with Eddie Urich? What can you
Oh,
share?
boy.
What
We
can you
could talk all night.
I'll go backwards. What can you tell us about Eddie that we might not already know?
I'm still learning things about Eddie. We can't go there. And one thing, we will never tell our secrets. Not all of them. It's been over 3 decades. And as time happens, we know this. You know, sometimes the road starts to go where you meet, you spend a decade together, the path goes a different direction. And if you're very fortunate in life, it circles back. And you never really left anybody. You know, Eddie and I had a little. I was working 80 Division I basketball games, a full NFL schedule. I was gone 170 days a year, so you weren't out a lot. When you were home, you were sleeping.
Yeah.
You know, so I did disengage a little from a lot of local relationships for a decade. But to know once I circled back, and Eddie and I really, and the good Lord made that happen in whatever way, connected us again 6 or 7 years ago, and it was like we never missed a year. And now to be able to be fortunate to have more time because you're not traveling and going around like you're doing, and to be giving back. The one thing I love about Ed Urich is his character is, and his definition is more of what he does for everybody else than himself. And those are life lessons. Sports brings us together in a lot of times and places and situations, and we talk about games, but the life experiences and the people that you meet as human beings completely dwarfs the football or basketball or sporting experience as well.
Well said, Gene, and I echo those sentiments, and we appreciate you for not forgetting where you're from and coming back here tonight to spend some time with us.
If you ever get a bye week, you can come with Joe and I at a Geneva game and assess the refs.
Listen,
it'll be
I am
awesome
still
to have you
assigning
there.
the football officials for the PAC and the Mountain East and the Great Midwest Athletics. So I'm that supervisor. You guys need to be good now, all right? Be
They'll do
easy
their
on
best.
them. And when Gino is, going
He's
crazy
sitting right
on that
here.
sideline now, listen, we're going to miss a couple, all right? But don't go crazy about
No,
it.
we'll keep it calm,
It's
right.
a tight play. It's a close play.
Right.
Maybe if he would have run something else, we wouldn't have had to make the decision.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll keep it clean.
Yeah, that'll work. Gene, good way to end it. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you, guys.
And we're going to wrap things up. Ed, let me just get a final comment from you. First of all, the $240 donation to Bob Barrett Memorial Scholarship Fund. Thank you for setting that up. Amanda, thank you for having this beautiful function tonight on Beaver County Radio. And Ed, we've been friends for almost 40 years, and I love you like a brother. You know that. So let's just let's try to keep this thing rolling, and the old man will come out of retirement once a year to help you out the best I can.
You know, I can just tell you, Gene really summarized a lot of things.
Yeah, he did.
Really, it's about this fraternity that Rich Alsbury and Greg Smith and Dan Robinson talked about. You enter this fraternity, and it's a remarkable bunch of people, and to see it all come back together again. The journeys that we all had together were a lot of fun, and there's a lot of reminiscing. There's a lot of memories of Gene's dad, because guys like Gene's dad, Chuck Heberling, Jack Fullen, these people were monuments in your life, and you learn from those. And Joe Hamilton's sitting there; he's another one. These people, they shed information and class. And if you're smart enough to open up and absorb it, I'm trying to do that with my daughter. And when she says, "Dad, can you help me do something?" I know Gene would never say no to his, just like I would never say no to mine. And she's sitting right by my side, and I wanted her for the rest of my life.
All right, buddy. Thanks for everything. Amanda, thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody. I grew up with this. I grew up around all of these guys. These are my uncles and second fathers.
There you go.
And it means more to me than anybody can even understand.
I mean, it is amazing. You have your own personal family, and I'll put my wife, kids, and grandkids over all of you guys. But after that group, you're right there. My sports family means the world to me, and even though I'm retired, to come back and do things like this now and then. I want to thank Frank Sparks for inviting me and having me down and letting me be a part of this. It's good that not everyone forgot about me since I retired. So, Frank, thank you so much. Again, thanks, everyone, for coming down tonight. Bruce, my partner for so many years.
Yeah, it's been great. Tom, I did some simple arithmetic when we were around here. The coaches at this table wound up having 7,198 career wins, and the refs wound up giving up 492 career technicals. I don't know. I just thought you might listen.
Probably pretty accurate.
It sounded good.
All right. For my partner, Bruce Frey, this is Tom Hays saying thanks for coming down to the Coach's Corner Reunion Show on Beaver County Radio. Good night, everyone.